Welcome everybody to High and Low, a podcast about talking picture shows.
We do films that are corny, some that are horny, some that win Academy Award.
Doing all kind of movies from all kinds of genres, serving hot takes like plates of lasagna.
Before we get going, a warning to you, you might hear some talk that's a little blue.
We sometimes cuss and we sometimes curse. We like to do it off the cuff and don't rehearse.
Now, if this sounds like your kind of show,
Tune in,
Drop out,
this is High and Low. Good day, listeners. We like to have a good time at the High and Low studios, but our revelry was halted when we realized that there's something awful going on in this great land of ours. Of course, I'm referring to the trend of high-concept movies trying to thoughtfully address racism, especially around awards season. You can be driving Miss Daisy or Ghost of Mississippi or in a crash. I don't care. We're here to take you to task. We're High and Low. We're the podcast that compares two movies connected by a theme, one of them highbrow or something, and one of them lowbrow. Today we're talking racism movies. We're going to discuss the 2018's Best Picture Award winner, Green Book.
the best picture of 2018.
It's the
hands
best picture
Yeah.
of 2018.
Ever.
And we're comparing it to the seemingly non-existent, the most difficult to track down movie we've ever covered, the 1995 thriller White Man's Burden.
Yes.
Starring John Travolta and Harry Belafonte. Thank you for joining us on what very well may be the last episode of this podcast we ever do. With me as always
Yeah.
are my two white co-hosts, Mitchell
Happy to be here.
and Luke.
Hi. Feeling very exposed.
You sounded so authoritative in that intro. I just felt like the real weight of what we're about to discuss, and it just came crashing down on me. It's like a
burden.
It's a sort of Damocles over my head over here.
There's some sort of burden. Guys, I got to apologize. I suggested these movies, and I'm pretty sure all of us are on a list for probably Googling White Man's Burden as many times as we did in the past month or however long it's been.
Yeah, I don't know why this stormfront.org website kept popping up for me when I Googled that.
Oh, I thought that was normal for you, though.
I've just been getting mail from the United Conservative Party. No idea why.
Yeah, we messed up the whole internet algorithm for ourselves to watch these movies, so...
There's going to be like an influx of people applying to be chauffeurs for eccentric pianists to go on extravagant cross-country tours.
Which is like winning the lottery. That's not a realistic dream to go for. You're better off just buying a bunch of lottery tickets.
You're better off starting a podcast and hoping it turns a profit. Yeah, I guess Green Book 2018, directed by Peter Farrelly. A bunch of this guy's movies just live rent-free in my brain all the time. Mostly with his brother, obviously, but...
All those movies that the Academy loved, that your grandparents probably loved, you can sit down and watch with the family. Esteemed classics like Me, Myself, and Irene, Shallow Hal, the movie where Cameron Diaz puts cum in her hair.
Yeah.
They were ahead of their time.
This guy writes some... He's been behind a lot of heady stuff.
They were very raunchy back in the day. It was a little naughty, watching someone put any kind of human body fluid in their hair as a hair gel. I was not prepared for that at that age.
My barbershop does it all the time.
It's kind of funny that until the Farrellys came along, it's like nobody thought of like drinking cum or putting cum in your hair or doing like other things with your cum, just getting your cum stuck places.
Yeah, cum was mostly just for like
They kicked off
dribbling down
cum
your
humor.
thighs.
That was for reproduction only.
Yeah.
Back then.
And like little sperms ourselves, we're all swimming in that cum world that the Farrelly brothers have helped us create. They really were the dick that made the cum.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're the balls.
They're the balls.
two
There's
balls.
two of them. They're the
Yeah.
two balls. They work together.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
it's
the afterbirth.
we're the we're the sperm, and we are all living in their semen.
We fertilized the egg. If I recall correctly from biology class.
And out came a beautiful baby called Green Book.
Yeah. It's really an interesting
solved
turn.
racism.
The Farrelly brothers split up, and then Peter Farrelly wanted to solve racism in a way that, frankly, had been done It had been done on a movie 30 years ago. Like
Please, we elected Obama twice. Racism's done.
Yeah, this episode is actually wildly out of date. We solved all the problems by now.
I mean, it's an obvious take, but this is just like, once again, taking a victory lap in that boomer perspective of being like, look how far we've come, and
So-
let's just pat ourselves on the back.
Green Book won Best Picture, and the same year that Black Klansman was nominated for Best Picture, which was a modern take on what racism looks like today. Not that old-timey racism that is just steeped in traditions.
Well, that one what is said in the past.
Well, yeah, but like it's juxtaposed with a bunch of stuff that's happening today. Like at the end, it's like a bunch of pictures from recent events that are eerily similar to what had happened back then.
Are you telling me that Spike Lee has something more salient to say about American race relations than Peter Farrelly? I don't think so.
Nice try.
Now, hear me out. Hear me out.
Nice try.
It just seems really weird that I don't really know that Green Book is that good of a movie, and it lost out to a movie that's doing the same thing in a much better, more modern way.
I don't remember Radio Raheem styling his hair with calm. No. So, I mean, one of these people is a major filmmaker, and the other one is nobody knows who Spike Lee is.
Why did the Farrelly brothers split? Was it like an acrimonious split? Was there like a big falling out and they got in a fight with each other? And one of them was like, I think we should put semen in the hair, and the other one was like, I think we should do sweat in the hair.
I think we should talk about racism. I think we should put cum in hair. Let's make different movies.
Yeah.
That classic dilemma.
Time to go our separate ways. Like the Coen brothers have kind of been doing their own things recently, and
you do the same thing, but for like 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
maybe you want to do something different.
yeah, like one of them did Macbeth, and one of them did the Drive Away Dolls, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Yeah, what's Bobby Farrelly doing, though?
Yeah, what's he doing? Is
you
he still
do
doing-
something for 30 years and you have some success doing it, even
Yeah.
with medium talent. You
My
quit?
job is to make boner movies. Like my job is to make boner comedies with lots of farts and things like that. And he's good at it. He's damn good at it. I am good at my job.
There's some
Kingpin
really
is a favorite of mine.
in
I
Green
love
Book,
Kingpin.
you see a lot of that comedy play out through parts of Green Book. For me, in this movie, the comedy really works. When you put two complete opposites together and they have to do a road trip together, that's funny and that works. There's some good bits to be had there, and they do a good job of it. I like that, but then once he gets into the more darker subject matter, it loses me.
It's kind of
It
like Dumb
falters
and
a little
Dumber, right? Like Dumb and Dumber is all about a big road trip, and they're
My God, this is Dumb and Dumber.
and so is Green Book. Yeah.
You know what? It does have a fair bit more in common with White Man's Burden, and then I thought at the outset, because in both movies, the black man is the high status man.
It's a role
Yeah.
swap.
They're both seemingly well-meaning movies, is what my general impression of them was. Like the most I could say about them is they felt a bit baby steps in terms of racial commentary a lot of the time. And there was some weird dated stuff in White Man's Burden. You know, it is a 90s movie. Some of the issues have improved that are actually brought up in White Man's Burden. You know, there is more representation in commercials, and it seems like.
We've made so much progress since White Man's Burden has come out. Honestly, we have.
And again, like you said, Obama was elected, so everything's solved.
You heard it from Mitch. He's a deacon at the Louis Farrakhan Church.
It's one of your fancy $5 words, deacon. Is that one of those slurs?
What do we got here? A DreamWorks SKG picture. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's Spielberg's production company, so
Okay.
thank him for this.
So he's got his mitts all over this.
Yeah.
Green Book.
Inspired by a true story.
It is written by Tony Lip's son.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was like all stories Tony Lip was telling him around the dinner table.
Big time grain of
I
salt
didn't
type
hear
of
that.
thing.
There is some stuff that feels very Hollywood scripty, so I'm sure there was a lot of streamlining the narrative and kind of crafting a nice story.
Yeah, and they made a bunch of changes. So it loosely it's fiction. It's essentially fiction.
Yeah.
It's like based on like some things that happened, but everything that happened within is total hearsay.
It's probably a good safe bet to assume that any biopic you watch is more or less totally fiction. And if you were to watch something like Straight Outta Compton was based on Ice Cube's recollections and Dr. Dre's recollections.
You
and-
mean Tony Lip didn't really eat a pizza?
Well, he
Eat
probably
an entire
did.
pizza in his underwear? in a
I mean, that was
motel?
accurate. That was 100% accurate. I can guarantee it.
Who's that manager from NWA?
That Jerry Heller, right?
Yeah,
He
Jerry
wrote
Heller
a
ate a
book.
pizza.
He ate a pizza in his underwear.
I'm Paul Giamatti in this movie, and I'm eating a fucking pizza.
He downed
It's
it.
not cut. Fold it in half.
An entire bucket of fried chicken while driving would just like that's doable.
Yeah, and that could just be like stories from his childhood. Like I went on road trips with my dad. He would get 2 buckets of chicken, one for him, one for the rest of the car.
I was jealous of a lot of what he was eating throughout this movie.
And the way he was eating it.
They
Just
know how to
like
eat. Yeah.
There's no wasted movement because he's a competitive eater, so there's no wasted movement in the way he eats. It's
an impressive physical performance on that level.
It's some championship food acting.
And he's going for the he'll eat a hot dog. He's not gonna mess around with some fries or something. He'll eat 37 hot dogs.
Yeah.
26 is his record.
To bring home the bacon.
I mean, any one of us could probably do that, but we always probably order fries or a side or something, so we fill up on that.
I order the drink, and that's just empty calories. That's
Yeah.
another 4 hot dogs I probably could have eaten if I
That's
didn't
how
have
they
a
get
pop.
you.
26 hot dogs is a lot, dude.
You eat the bread rolls.
Hey, you want to
fill
put half
up.
a C note on it, motherfucker? Think you're tough? Think you're tougher than me?
Bet you I eat 27 hot dogs right now.
Oh, you think you're better than me? Mitch, start making them fucking hot dogs. Let's go.
I brought home the bacon, baby. I made 100 clams.
Oh, we need to get like a rotisserie hot dog machine to have in the studios.
Man, but he's like a gladiator, Tony Lip, you know? He's out there. He's competing in the streets. He's eating hot dogs. He's punching guys.
I say, don't you dare turn your back on me, glutton.
You want to eat against me?
Tony Lip, eater of 42 pizzas,
Does it get more stereotypical?
diner of 26 hot dogs, and I will have my hoagie record.
Throw her out of many glasses.
He's a bouncer at the Copacabana.
Yeah, in 1962 in New York.
Happening time in there. You got this big band just going, and
Yeah, waitresses are just handing out cigarettes. That looks pretty fun. I like that.
smoke wherever you want.
On a silver
You have the freedom
platter.
to smoke wherever you want. You tell me that we don't have...
I'm not saying it was a good time for black people. I'm just saying
Yeah, it was a great time if you were a smoker. You could smoke any place, anytime.
and smoking.
And you were willing to accept any kind of other person's rights getting trampled upon if it meant that you could smoke in like a hockey rink or
Hospital.
yeah, a casino.
Church.
It was expected and encouraged.
So a fight breaks out, and Boss is just like, Tony Lip! And Viggo Mortensen, we see him for the first time. He's all looking all doughy and shitty, and his hairline's receding. It's not your handsome Viggo.
No, he's got like a whole half a tin of shoe polish in his hair. It's a real slicked black.
Yeah. He's got a good like mafia adjacent kind of Goomba-ish look to him.
He's got the look, but none of the clout or style.
No, but he's not like a flashy mobster.
He's a rough guy. He's like Robert De Niro in The Irishman.
And
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, he's the guy who you call to help out with things.
And it's like he's rubbing shoulders with these mob guys throughout the movies, but we see him working legitimate jobs and stuff. Like, he's not a straight up mafia guy, but these mob guys will be like, hey, why don't you come do a job for me? I'll give you double what you're making now. He's like, I already got a job. So he's sort of in that orbit. He's a New York Italian guy, a tough guy during that era, but he's a legit guy too. He's a family man.
Yeah, he's a hustler. He'll do whatever it takes. He'll bounce your club.
Yeah.
He'll talk and hustle. He'll fucking eat.
He
Eats like nobody's business.
He's a great talker, but he'll also crack some skulls when necessary.
He's a grade A bullshit artist. He's a simple man, a man of he understands things, but in his own way. And
Yeah.
he comes in. There's this fight, and he just knocks him around real good, and just dusts one guy and tosses him out on the curb.
He fucking gets this guy down on the ground, and he's punching the shit out of him, and blood's flying. It's pretty violent.
Yeah,
He handles every situation, like every physical confrontation he gets in this movie pretty perfectly, which is a bit of the Hollywood script aspect. It's
Yeah.
almost too perfect how some things
trust
work
me,
out.
my
in
dad.
this.
Nobody ever landed a hit on my dad. My dad was Superman.
Yeah,
This
he's,
is what my dad was like in this
he
movie.
told
he's
me
basically
this.
like Ogami Ito or whatever from Lone Wolf and Cub. It doesn't matter. You just know that you're in the best hands possible. Nothing bad can happen to this guy. He's
Yeah.
Superman.
It's kind of funny to think of this movie like a Lone Wolf and Cub with just like Mahershala Ali, just riding in a little basket, and Viggo Mortensen just like chopping off people's arms.
Yeah, it is that, but a much worse movie than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They encounter like 56 ninjas, and then like the green car they're driving in just has the arrows come out of it, and
It's launching hot dogs at him, and he's just like jumping in front of them, devouring them all.
it gives it more power. He's getting faster.
Every Frank he eats, he's getting stronger.
It's like Pulgasari, and then he just unexpectedly shoots the hot dogs back, and he's
Then he lays in a hammock for 12 days.
Okay, Tony Lip, you got to get up. You got to go, Tony Lip. Oh, hot dog.
Tony Lip.
Hot dog.
oh, you'll be sorry you called Tony Lip in the end.
He ate all the village's hot dogs.
Oh, no. Then Mahershala Ali wrapped himself up in a hot dog and got eaten. And that ended the curse somehow. We should say Mahershala Ali, who is awesome, and I want to see him in more things, but he's
Dr. Don Shirley.
Don Shirley, renowned pianist.
He plays it. He's a virtuoso.
Renowned for his penis.
He's out there showing it on the stage every night in New York, but he's got a big ideas, big plans.
Yeah.
Wants to take a deep dive into the deep south.
The Copacabana closed down. He needs to find a new job for a couple months while there's some renovations happening. So
Lip's doing some garbage man work. He's got that to fall back onto a bit.
yeah,
We meet his wife, Dolores, played by Linda Cardellini.
yeah.
Who I love.
More of her. I like her in everything.
Yeah, she's great in Freaks and Geeks.
Easy on the eyes.
Huge crush
and a good
on her.
actor, yeah. His brother-in-law, Johnny's played by Sebastian Maniscalco, the stand-up comedian. If you don't know who he is, ask your parents.
I actually saw him at the local comedy club.
Oh, you did?
The one at West End. Yeah. I saw him even get out of the taxi cab and walk from the taxi cab.
Whoa!
Can you believe it? That's the closest I've come to a celebrity.
Was he funny?
I can't remember, but I didn't really know who he was. It was just like, oh, we're going to the comedy club tonight. Sebastian Maniscalco, okay. And then I've kind of seen him in a bunch of stuff. He was in The Irishman, the flashy gangster in The Irishman who wore the slick shades. And
He's like the new Andrew Dice Clay. He's a guy you can plug into your mob movie in a supporting role, and he's just fine.
He's got the look. He'll
got
fill
the
the
look.
screen out a little bit.
yeah, does the job well.
Yeah, I don't think he's dirty like Dice. I've heard some of his bits, I think. I remember them being inoffensive.
He's got a very distinct style. He's got a very unique delivery.
Seemed kind of like a high energy, like a Italian-American Dane Cook.
I think he's like, his comedy is like, I've got a problem with all this stuff. You know, like, here's the thing I don't like too. And then the wife spends too much money.
Have you ever rode the bus?
Yeah.
What's it with broads and how long it takes them to get fucking ready? Am I right?
I'm out there looking at my watch. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. She's putting on her makeup. Unbelievable.
Lip's family are all there. All the men are sitting there and they're fucking watching the baseball game. They got the Yankees on. He's like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, oh, we just came over to keep Dolores company. The camera looks over and you see these two black plumbers in the kitchen.
Yeah. His family's none too happy about it. They're like, you shouldn't be sleeping while there's men over in your house.
Don't be sleeping when my daughter's here alone with these sacks of coal. And Lip's like, I didn't know they were going to send these moulignons.
They're dropping all the Italian racist
I've
terms
heard
in
moulis
this.
from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
It means eggplant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just nice to see it
exactly.
somewhere else.
They're also saying a tetsoon. Like, what's it like working for the tetsoon?
Did they say that in Sopranos?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
I don't think I'd heard that one before.
They must have said it during the Noah arc at some point, where Tony was dropping a a racial bombs.
The
during that
Italians
time.
have so many racial slurs.
Yeah, they just really.
I mean, probably no more than the English, but
But I don't know all of them. So that as when you watch something where there's some bilingual like racial cussing,
we're listening.
you're
We're
learning new words.
We're doing the work. We're learning all the slurs, and you're gonna hear them here.
We need to be able to identify them,
Yeah.
so that we know they're wrong.
Know your enemy.
We're going to be doing our own personal pratfalls down the misconduct staircase.
Okay.
Anyway, so
So Dolores gets these two plumbers a couple of cups of water. Tony sees this, and so they leave, and everything's fine. And Tony goes over and he grabs the glasses that they were just drinking out of, and he just tosses them in the trash.
now the camera kind of zooms in, and you see them like put their lips on the glass glass and you see them gulping the water. It kind of disgusted me, to be honest. Oh, I don't want anyone touching my glasses either.
He's clocking
My kids drink out of my water bottles, and that grosses me out. And they're my kids.
Oh, they're
man.
disgusting how they drink.
They'll grow out of it. I mean, it has to be the most racist thing that Tony Lip does throughout the whole movie.
Well, it is, right? Because this is where he starts, and at the end, he's a changed person.
It is,
so
but he's polite enough. He's not so racist that, I mean, he says moolies or something in earshot of them, but like...
He's not like, get these moolies out of my house.
His whole thing,
he's not abusive directly to them.
He doesn't seem to change that much. He kind of just seems like a kind-hearted simpleton who's like can be a bit rough around the edges, and that's kind of what he is at the end. Like he doesn't really. He kind of like says like "you people" type things to Shirley for the first little bit, and that's about as bad as their relationship is. And then at the end he's calling him Doc, like they're friends. That seemed like a small wall to break down. And that's kind of one of the problems I have with this is neither of the characters go through that much change.
No, they don't,
and that kind of sucks.
It's kind of just a apologencia for that age of a boomer or whatever to be like, oh, it was just a different time. Oh, I didn't like drinking from the same glasses as these people. Oh, and it's like, I wasn't like those people down there. You know, I've discussed this on the podcast before, being like, we're not like those people in the South. We're not racist like them. And the movie does address that. And we'll get to that in one of Mahershala Ali's later monologues. He does kind of bring that up.
Yeah.
So I'll shut up.
Hey, shut up.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Your pie hole, why don't you just zip it?
Put some food in there.
You're too skinny.
Put 26 hot dogs in there right now.
What's the matter, Tony? You feeling down? How about a couple dozen hot dogs?
God, I wish someone would just say that to me once. I came in here looking a little sad today. Mitch didn't offer me hot dogs.
No, man, I didn't expect it. I didn't see it coming. I would have crammed your mouth full of so much sausage you wouldn't have if I had known.
Just put your mouth around this hole in the wall. Here it comes.
Oh, God, I'm in a Farrelly movie all of a sudden.
This is a special kind of sausage.
Okay, so they go to this restaurant. Tony's basically got no job.
He's eating for money. It's like it's sort of like a bit of a job interview / standoff with this guy who's going to be in an eating contest with, and they're kind of like going over each other's resumes, and I guess at some point, Tony ate 48 White Castle burgers in a single sitting. That's kind of like one of his personal best.
Yeah.
The other guy's like, well, I ate 15 pizzas once. And like,
That's a fast food I've always wanted to try was White Castle because we don't have that around here. But
Oh, never tried them.
me neither. And it wasn't until like Harold and Kumar, that was such an effective commercial for those burgers.
yeah.
Seriously.
Then I saw like a YouTube short the other day of a guy making a White Castle style slider burgers, and it was like a mouth-watering moment. I wanted to immediately eat.
I feel like
26
sliders have kind of gotten out of style. In like, for a little period of time there in the late aughts, they were like, every place had them, and everybody like, hey, how's your sliders or whatever. Hey,
It's like, it's pretty good.
I only got 3 sliders here. I'm gonna need at least a couple dozen more. Maroon, what the fuck?
I need 7 orders.
How's your sliders here? These books are due back next Thursday. Here you go.
And if you people hate the Italian American accents, wait till we get to the second movie and we start doing the black scent that John Travolta does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Tony's like, so what's the record here for hot dogs? Like, that's just a normal question in this neighborhood. You ask people, and he's like, 18. Half a C-note bet. Then he's facing off against Fat Polly.
A winner-take-all face-off battle, eating contest, hot dog death match, just like you read about.
The shits this guy must take.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
How do you not throw up?
Him
like,
and Coyle are
respect?
best friends.
I imagine his bowels are very compacted with all the meat he's eating.
Oh, I know. And then it's like, I don't know.
He probably barely
Have you ever
shits.
rolled a boulder out of the way or something? You know, like sometimes there's a boulder and you need to move it.
Of course.
That's what his bowels.
Roll the boulder.
Roll the boulder. That's what they.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh shit! I gotta go roll the boulder.
Sometimes you just gotta roll a boulder.
Do you guys remember that internet post from a long time ago and it was the poop knife? I always think about this. And it was like somebody on some forum or something and they're like, okay, so my family, we have a poop knife and it's a big, rusty, long knife that we keep next to the toilet to cut up our giant turds.
Oh God.
He's like, my girlfriend like thinks this is weird that we cut up our poop with the poop knife.
Wow.
And he's like, doesn't everybody's family have a poop knife
I
to
mean,
cut up their big poops?
she sounds a little stuck up to me.
And everyone's like, no, dude, no.
Well, they're not considering the other side of the equation, which is like maybe it's a good idea to have a poop knife, and maybe she's being a little stuck up, and she should accept this family tradition.
Were you the guy in the OP?
That was my post. And I poop knife, and I'm proud of it.
It sounds like she needs to poop knife. She's all
Yeah.
bunged up, and a good poop knife and ought to fix her disposition.
See, I thought it was gonna be like the how they wipe their ass in Demolition Man with the seashell method.
They never actually go into that, though.
Oh yeah,
You just know
That's
that
my
there are
headcanon.
seashells. Well, you know that
they
there are
would-
seashells, and they're involved in wiping asses, but the physics of it are
The
never-
joke is they don't explain it.
Yeah.
And you're an idiot for asking.
Well,
which is a good joke.
It's a good joke.
maybe they use it like a poop knife. Maybe that's a thing they could do.
I'm sure some film studies student has done a dissertation on what the three seashells are.
Hey, we're Italian Americans. We use poop knives. The Stallones, we come from the streets. We got to have 26 hot dogs. That poo ain't going down.
Man,
We live
toilet
in tenement
paper.
homes in the east side Philadelphia. I mean,
Not
those
everyone can
toilets,
afford toilet paper.
You got to cut them up a little bit.
You get two rolls a month. Two rolls a
Yeah.
month if you're lucky.
And they put crappy plumbing in those buildings, so you
We're
got
on
to use a
food
poop
stamps.
knife sometimes.
Save up our food stamps. Get a poop knife.
Sometimes you use your food stamps for a poop knife. Sometimes you use them for a for a shit ticket.
I mean, it's true though. Once you've used a knife for poop, and it is the poop knife, you never use it again for anything else.
I should hope.
Yeah, back in the day, we'd call food stamps shit tickets because that's what you used to wipe your asses with. But we were good kids. Okay, so Tony Lip blows this guy out of the water in an eating contest.
Yeah, he comes home. He's got into an eating contest. I'm good on dinner. Oh, Fat Polly ate 24 hot dogs. He's an animal. And Dolores is all disappointed in him. And he's like, I ate 26. And she's like, oh, nice, $50.
You
But
are
rent's
my
due.
warrior.
Roll over, we're gonna fuck.
Yeah, rent's due, and they're behind, and they're struggling.
They need money.
Let's make another baby, babe.
But you know I'm Roman Catholic.
So this is when Tony gets a tip from the boss at the Copa. That's, by the way, that's Don Stark. That's Bob, Donna's dad from That 70s Show.
Did not clock that at all.
He says there's a driver job for one Dr. Shirley. So he gives him an address, and he goes to this interview.
A
And
doctor. It must be some kind of a fancy doctor, like a cardiologist.
Guy lives in a loft in Carnegie Hall. What kind of doctor lives there?
Yeah, like a massage therapist.
Yeah,
or,
like a-
I don't know.
Dr. Dre,
Yeah, Dr. Love, Dr. Feelgood.
we got nothing here.
Dr. Mario, Dr. Oz.
These are all the doctors I know.
Did you say Dr. Octopus?
Dr.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Demento.
Bunch of quacks.
So we don't know what kind of doctor's behind this wall is what we're trying to get at. We don't know what this person's going to look like.
Yeah. But he
We
must.
certainly
But
don't
we've seen the
expect.
poster, so we know what
Yeah.
we know what's going on.
It's a doctor, so it must be a white man.
Must be a white medical doctor, man.
It's the only kind of doctor there could be. Don Shirley's servant, the actor's Iqbal Thiba. He played Abed's dad, if he looked familiar to anybody. He comes and he ushers Tony Lip in, kind of gives him a bit of a once-over, and then they go into Dr. Shirley's office, and it is ornate. There's huge tusks and gigantic artwork, like paintings and sculptures, and the guy's like sitting on a throne wearing regal gowns and robes.
Throne's a bit much.
The throne is a bit much.
And the ivory. I mean, I don't care if you're African American. That ivory really ain't cool.
He's one of the great piano
It was a different
players.
time.
You know,
60s, it was a different time.
and he
I don't
tickles
care.
the ivories.
Cancel him.
He's a piano player. He's always tickling ivories. So
He-
it's like a double whammy.
He uses those mammoth tusks to replace his piano keys as they break over time. He's a practical man.
Well, at least he's not farming a fresh mammoth every time he breaks a key.
That's sustainable. Do you know how much methane they release?
That would be like a caveman piano. He would never play that. He plays like the fancy Weimar or whatever piano.
Steinway.
Steinway.
Weimar.
You could tell I'm a musician.
Some sort of weird Viking piano.
He plays
He plays a Ragnar piano or something. I don't know.
he
I
likes
don't fucking know.
It's a Fibonacci Stradivarius. I don't know.
Doc Shirley, finally, we meet him. Well, first of all, Tony, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a musician.
There's something you need to know about me, Tony.
There's these things called colleges.
I'm not certified to save your life. If you choke on a hot dog on this job we're about to give you, I cannot save your life. Otherwise, I might get sued in the great state of Alabama.
Doc, do you think you can look at my left nut anyway and just take a look-see here?
No, Tony, I'm not that kind of doctor. I've told you.
That's just an Italian expression. Hey, look at my left nut.
So,
Well, okay, Tony, just this once. Well,
he,
look at my left nut.
Well, I'll be damned. That's what that means.
So,
he explains I'm embarking on a tour of the South. Oh, Atlantic City? No, the Deep South. Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee, and down through the Delta. He asks Lip if he's gonna have a problem working for a colored man, in his words.
yeah, and kind of like in the whole job description too, he's like, you're not just going to be a chauffeur, you're going to be a tailor, you're going to press my clothes, you're going to open my doors, you're going to be he gives him a laundry list of other things he has to do, and that's the problem Tony Lip has. He's like, I ain't folding nobody's clothes. I don't got a problem with you as a person, or whatever he says, so...
Yeah, he doesn't want to do all that stuff.
Yeah, he says he won't be a butler.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of funny back and forth in this scene. Like
These two have really good...
they have some chemistry.
They both do knock it out of the park in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they are not the reason that I don't really like this movie that much. They're awesome.
They're on equal footing with each other in a lot of ways.
Well,
even though
Shirley's on a throne.
Yeah, well, one of them is the haute couture, high class guy, and one of them is lowbrow from the streets.
He's got street smarts. He's got a PhD in street science.
That is a lot of this whole movie is
I
just
went to the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
I put that on my Facebook profile so everybody knows I'm a badass.
Oh.
He's got a PhD in street science and a master's in that sweet science. You know what I mean? Shaking my fists around.
If Tony Lip was on Facebook, by the way, all of his posts would be like posts of like the Joker or Tom Hardy, you won't mess with me or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be like Tupac with like Joker makeup on.
Like the really super airbrushed picture that says, only God can judge me or something like that.
Well, he would probably just have like Scarface and like Godfather, I would think. He might be that kind of old guy.
Yeah,
like,
maybe not black guys, but definitely like maybe like Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders and stuff like that. Those kinds of memes.
Maybe a Sons of Anarchy meme.
Hey, what is he? Are these guys Swedish or something? Tony, he says he'll get him to point A and point B and make sure there's no trouble, but that's it. But he doesn't want to be a butler.
The other servant. That guy's like very much a butler.
A South Asian guy. He's like, oh, I'm not like one of them.
His greatest joy is to be a good employee to Dr. Shirley here. That guy loves his boss.
Nice guy.
Tries to get Tony Lip to toe the line as well. You'll be carrying Doc Simpson's bag. Tony Lip's like, no, I don't think so.
He makes him load the suitcases in when they're about to leave. All of Dr. Shirley's friends kind of love and respect and like want to protect him from other things. Like his bandmates are very caring too, and people really like this guy.
As they should.
He's a swell fella.
Yeah.
There is something at stake with him going on this whole Deep South tour, and there is sort of a message beyond just a money-making tour or whatever.
He's not trying to win $1 million. He's trying to win 1 million hearts.
Yeah, so Lip storms out of there. He goes down the street to a bar. He just goes up. He's like, hey, give me a beer. Ice cold. You guys ever ask for a beer ice cold before?
No,
Like,
and then like, what does the bartender do?
hey, give me a
but
piss
just
warm one.
Fills the beer up out of the piss warm looking tap that it probably is and just gives it to him.
What do you mean, like from the ice box or something?
We don't got ice. We don't got ice here.
We don't got refrigeration yet in this part of the Bronx.
So bartender says, Augie's been asking after him. Augie's, I guess, some mob guy. He goes to the back of the bar and he opens up this curtain and there's these 3 little mob guys like little fucking elves.
They're like eating like this amazing looking food in like a broom closet or something
They're
like
having
that.
pasta in this little nook.
Just some wise guys
Come in, shut the door.
in an odd Lynchian surreal scene.
Yeah, there's like 3 guys there, but there's like 7 plates of food. You know, you can see chicken parm and all
It's
that
family
stuff.
style, big time. It's all,
Yeah,
we're all family here.
You want to earn a bit of extra scarole? Do something extra. Buy something nice for that pretty little wife of yours.
Get you some stracciatella.
And he's like, no, thank you. I'm a little flush right now, actually, even though we know he's totally fucking broke.
Yeah.
He goes and he crosses the street and he goes straight to the pawn shop to pawn his watch off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only wants to be mob adjacent. He doesn't want to take those dirty jobs. He knows he's going to have to break some toes.
Once
Yeah,
he gets
doesn't
you
want
know,
to paint houses.
He can never get out. They'll keep pulling him back in, right? Mob movies, mafia movies. They're going to pull him back
Hey,
in.
guys, love him.
He doesn't want to be a good fella.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's not stupid like people says.
Smart.
He's smart.
he's wicked smart.
That's the thing you see all over in Boston. Is like wicked smart, but you see shirts.
The
Everybody
legends are
saying
true.
wicked smart.
Yeah.
It's like how we have City of Champions. Boston has Wicked Smart.
Yeah, no, kinda actually.
We walk
It's
around
on the
saying that
state
all the
flag.
time. That's City of Champions, buddy. Good job, pal. That's a real City of Champions effort.
Actually, funny enough, I did see a sign in Boston where they claimed to be the City of Champions, and I got to say they have a better claim to that name than we do.
Well.
That's why we may have just washed that one away.
You know,
We're not the City of Champions anymore.
there has to be a City of Champions per country. So it's okay if Boston wants to be a City of Champions because we're in Canada. We can be a City of Champions too.
Yeah, but
We can just keep making that narrow. Like we're Alberta's City
Yeah.
of Champions. Okay,
yeah,
we're the
Montreal has way more championships than us.
Well, there can be a Western Canadian champion, or there could be an Eastern Canadian City of Champions.
We're kind of
It's
like
okay.
Central Alberta's City of Champions. If you lump in maybe St. Albert as well.
yeah.
Mark Messier's from there.
So the pawn guy is like, hey, Lip, everything okay? What do you got, beak trouble, Charlie? Mind your business. What does that mean, beak trouble? I didn't get that.
It's a problem with his mouth. He's running his mouth.
He's sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. I think
nose,
his beak. He's putting it.
Your beak is your nose. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like,
But
my
they're
beak.
also the bird's mouths.
Well, that's true.
It's their nose and their mouth.
A bird uses it to eat and to attack.
A man's beak.
It can be used for.
Which is what I use my nose and mouth for. I use it to eat.
Yeah.
I use it to attack.
Yeah,
Use your nose to attack.
there's a reason.
That's
He's pecking me. He's pecking me.
My
Make him
God,
stop.
his nose is displaced and gushing blood. I don't know why he is continuing to.
Make him stop pecking me.
Please stop! You're hurting yourself.
What, do you got beak trouble, Vonn?
Oh, I thought we weren't going to talk about this.
So next day, they wake up to a phone call, and Dr. Shirley wants to talk to Dolores. He passes the phone to his wife, Dolores. Shirley asks her permission. He says that he'd pay whatever Lip asked for. And she's like, well, you can't be eating 26 hot dogs every day. I'm going to miss you for a couple of months, but I think you better take the job.
I'm gonna go eat brisket. I'm gonna go eat some jambalaya. I'm gonna get into eating competitions I can never get into. I'm taking it international.
It is kind of a missed opportunity that he didn't just have like one of those Food Network shows on the go while he was traveling with the doc, just hitting up every eating contest across the South, eating like the biggest pulled pork sandwich or the biggest pie.
Be a mid-century Guy Fieri.
A better movie is a world-renowned pianist joining a schlubby Italian American on a cross-country eating tour. That's
Can you entertain the crowd with the piano while I eat pulled pork sandwiches?
rinky-dink.
White Castle sliders.
More food just in a movie is good. I love watching people like prepare food, make food. Like those trip movies are awesome. I love that. 2 guys going to restaurants and like you watch the food being prepared. them enjoying the food and just shooting the shit.
Having a
The food looks good in
convo.
this movie. It's shot nicely.
A little bit. Yeah, there's not
Some of it
enough
does. Some of it doesn't. Like it's like a mushed up sandwich that he's just like mashing
Yeah.
into his face.
Mashing food into his face. Every scene of this
He's a
movie.
grade A
pretty much.
slob, and I love it.
Yeah.
He drinks a gallon or whatever of milk, a whole bottle of milk
Oh,
in
yeah.
one go at one point.
Wash
I
something down.
kind of miss that. Man, yeah,
That's good
no,
for
he's a
heartburn.
good food actor.
Just schlubbing everywhere.
It's Viggo Mortensen. He's a physical actor. He
Viggo
puts his whole
Mortensen.
body in.
He did gain 40 pounds for this role, apparently. So I'm sure that was a great pleasure for him as an actor, just to eat burgers and fried chicken without really having to bulk up in the way a Marvel actor does and like take
God,
steroids and
He's
cut.
probably
and
pushing 60 when he shot this. Like, it's not easy to lose that weight when you get to his age, I don't think.
No,
It's not easy at my age.
he might have. Maybe he was halfway there already. He's just like,
yeah, you just took it as an excuse. Oh, fuck.
I get to eat
Guess
another
I'm
hot
eating
dog.
3 pizzas today.
Find me a script where I'm fat.
Oscar.
Maybe that's like what Christian Bale and these other actors who gain and lose a lot of weight do is they bulk up, they eat a lot, then they can just use it as an excuse to kind of cycle.
That's what Brendan Fraser said. He said, "Find me a script where I'm fat."
And they use prosthetics.
Yeah, he cheated. He didn't actually eat like 26 hot dogs. Like I'm
did
sure.
you see The
Viggo
Whale?
Mortensen did. I have not seen it yet.
Oh,
no,
man, did you?
But
Yeah.
I like Darren Aronofsky, but I mean I've heard a mixed bag of things about The Whale. I don't know.
It's just a bummer. It's a drag to watch.
Well, do you guys watch the My 600-Pound Life?
No.
Because
Sometimes when I feel like I need to beat myself up over my own
Sometimes
weight.
when I
Yeah.
feel like I need to beat off for a little bit.
yeah, so hot.
Well, the whale's always beating off. He's beating off to gay porn in it.
Oh,
He's a serial masturbator.
Yeah. He sits at home eating subs, beating off to gay porn.
Just hit it's hit a little too close to home for me.
he lives the perfect life.
Dolores agrees to release her husband for a few months and say like it's okay, go make some money. Cut to them loading up. He's not lifting any suitcases, so he makes a
There's a little standoff, right? He like looks at the manservant, and the manservant's eyeballing him. They look at the luggage, and
yeah, he kind of gestures to Lip to put the luggage in the car, and there's like, yeah, that's...
I ain't doing
That's
that.
not
That's
happening.
not my kind of a thing.
Finally, he puts the Indian guy puts the luggage in the car. That you see, I think it's Shirley's manager says like sometimes you're staying in the same hotel, sometimes you're not. This is the book I was telling you about. He hands him a green book.
a green book.
The
it says-
titular green.
Yeah,
book.
it says on it for vacation without aggravation. Green book for the Negro motorist.
Safe places for Dr. Shirley to stay once he gets into the deep south.
Safe places to eat. Where are all the sundown towns? All of that.
Those sundown towns were fucked.
It's a goddamn chilling. It's a bone chilling premise for a movie.
Yeah.
From what I understand, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a heavily segregated time period. They're traveling through an extremely racist locale.
Yeah, this is 1962.
And people were hot about it. Like they knew that stuff was on its way out. Like,
Some of these
people
guys
were
are-
sensitive about it. The older guard are around, and they're extra fucking sensitive about it at this time, I imagine.
They're extra,
like
extra
Martin
pissed
Luther
off.
King is out there and he's talking. The civil rights movement is in effect. All these fucking sundown towns and lynchings and all this bullshit, segregation.
They're looking for any reason.
yeah, it's on watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Doc Shirley sticks out like a sore thumb around these parts. He's an extremely well-educated, extremely cultured black man, and like even the other black people will just like stop and stare in their tracks, like when he's going by in a suit, being
He doesn't
driven
fit
by
in
a
with the white world. He doesn't fit in with the black world. And he's not man enough to be a man, so what is he?
Yeah,
Oh, we'll get to. We got to go over that whole moment when we get to it.
hey, we understand each other.
Yeah, he sticks out like a sore thumb wherever he
Yeah.
goes.
So-
I love the way he's playing this. He's very prim and very proper. Where he gets in the car and he crosses his legs. Doc Shirley gets in the car and crosses his legs, and his little servant just gently drapes a blanket over his thigh. And he's just like
Traveling blanket.
Yeah,
Ever so
he's
dainty.
so delicate, and he plays
Yeah.
it very well.
He meets the band. There's Oleg, who plays the cello. We learn is a Russian guy, and George plays the bass.
Apparently, the real Oleg was a Estonian, and his name was Ural Tart.
Okay, maybe he's Estonian. They don't say he's Russian. They speak Russian.
They kind of like allude
Do
to
they
him
speak
being
Russia in
Russian.
Estonia?
I guess the guy had issue with him being I think they speak Estonian.
Oh.
But they fled the USSR, so he had issue with like being like lumped in as like a Russian. He's like, this isn't true. This isn't who I was. And but also, it's
cry me a fucking river, you call me fucking deserter. Gusano.
This is about Tony Lip and Doc Shirley.
Ask anybody why they fled the USSR, and I think you'll be surprised by their answers. So Shirley specifies he needs a Steinway piano. Like, it's laying out all the plot beats for the movie yet to come. You know? Some hotels we can stay at, some we can't. Some towns you can't go in after night. It's like, okay, that's going to happen.
You're going to have to be my guest from time to time.
Yeah. He specifies he needs a Steinway piano. In his contract, he'll only play on a fucking Steinway. And he also specifies a bottle of Cuddy Sark in his hotel room every night.
What is Cuddy
Google
Sark?
that. It's a scotch. Okay. I've never seen it.
Don Shirley drank all of it in the 60s.
Yeah, clearly. I'd never seen it. Yeah.
I was like, what is this guy drinking? Apple juice or what?
It looks like a medium quality. I don't think it's a high quality or...
Whatever it is, you can drink a bottle of it every night.
Yeah.
And still perform.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, Doc, if you ever need any help with that...
No, I don't think that'll be necessary.
He's a very structured man, Doc Shirley. He has a routine he likes to follow.
You will carry me and my blankie into my motel every night, shut the door, lock it, and then go stay in your room. If you hear sobbing coming from my motel room...
You will ignore it. If you hear me call your name 3 times, you will respond.
He's so obviously sad. I can see why Shirley's family found this movie a little bit objectionable.
He's a real mopey moperson, and he's just so put upon, and he just lives in this big, empty life. He has no meaning in his life.
He just needs a white man to come in there and bring him out of his shell and show him that fried chicken tastes good.
Show him how to play the blues.
Show him Little Richard and all that stuff.
Show him the Jack Frost Band, all the classic great blues greats. So we see him speaking Russian with his cello player, Oleg.
He's a multilingualist.
Yeah. Lips like, hey, watch out for the Krauts. Kennedy should have bombed them when he had the chance. He does not know the difference between Germans and Russians.
He's a total dunce.
Well, the Berlin Wall is still up, so he's like, half the Krauts are in the USSR, so...
I guess, yeah.
In a roundabout way. He's very smart. He's not like people say, he's smart.
They mentioned they're going to Pittsburgh, and he's like, I had a friend called it Titsburg. Said the women there have huge tits. He's like, why would a woman in a different city have bigger breasts than, say, a city like New York? I don't know. I guess we'll have to go there and find out.
Perhaps we should try silence for a while, Tony.
His other line to Tony all the time is eyes on the road, because Tony's always a very expressive talker. He'll be turning back and staring at Doc as they're driving. And yeah, he's like, can you please not crash into a deer or something?
You merge without shoulder checking.
From here on, my notes is just so many quotes from the movie because, frankly, they're funny.
From here, it's more or less a series of montage.
Yeah.
It's like a couple short little interstitials intercut with montage
It takes a long time for their relationship to develop and for them to start to bond a little bit. Like, your diction could use some finessing. If people don't like the way I talk, they can go take a shit. Fanambulo, why are you going to break my balls?
Yeah, I mean, the entire movie is just them getting to know each other more or less and, like, express each other's, like, different life philosophies to one another.
And a lot of that worked on me. I really like the mismatched buddy road trip where they're getting to know each other.
Tony Lip's a bit of he's not fully in that mob life, but he is a bit of an unethical, he knows how to skirt the law.
These rocks for sale? I just found a rock on the ground and put it in my pocket. It's not stealing.
They come across a rock stand that's selling some like nice fancy rocks, a green rock, and one of them happens to have rolled out on the ground, and Tony Lip picks it up and pockets it. Doc sees him, calls him out on it, demands that he return it, and begrudgingly, Tony Lip seemingly returns the rock.
Or did he?
Yeah, the first scene where they go to the private party, though, Doc is saying that he's like, we can't call you Tony Lip in front of them. We have to call you Tony. How about Tony Valley? Yeah. Valley Longa is too long.
They simply won't be able to pronounce Valley Longa, Mr. Valley Longa.
He's like, these genteel people that are so educated can't pronounce my full name.
They can call me Tony Lip.
And he sees him playing. He's actually quite taken.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a brilliant player. Then he's out back and he's throwing bones with the other servants, all the black guys out back throwing dice.
He's the only white guy there. He's basically like, I would rather just hang out with the other working class folks than the hoity-toities.
Yeah, those are his people.
And then the other big stupid ass plot thrust of this movie is the letters that he writes to his wife.
Yeah.
Which I've
Dear
transcribed
Dolores,
most of them.
I am good.
A cow
How
today.
are you?
I'm eating lots of hamburgers. Dr. Shirley plays like Liberace, but better. I miss you.
Dear Dolores, Dr. Shirley had to buy me a new poop knife yesterday because I ate 57 sliders the day before.
Dear Dolores.
The sky is blue. Oh, yes, it's true. That's why you love me and I loves you. P.S. Kiss the kids.
Here's another one. Dear Dolores, this morning I had steak and eggs. Doctor's been playing some very ritzy joints. We've been getting on good. Though sometimes I think he gets sad, and that's why he drinks too much. I never knew how very beautiful this country was. Right now I'm eating spaghetti and meatballs in a diner, and it tastes like ketchup on Chinese noodles. Your husband, Tony. P.S. Clean the poop knife for me. I'm going to need it when I bring it back. No, he always goes, P.S. Kiss the kids for me.
I could have sworn it was clean the poop knife for me.
Yeah.
A 1960s Italian family eating that much meat.
They need poop knives.
You're going to have a poop knife.
I assume.
My father was a poop knife salesman, and there's no shame in that.
If anybody out there in listener land uses poop knives, let us know.
We hope you won't be offended by this episode, and we hope you'll continue to listen.
We're trying to be as sensitive to poop knives as we can in this
Yeah.
episode. It's difficult to handle.
Some
like
people
walking
discriminate
on the edge of a
against
knife.
Tony
Yeah.
Lip.
We're
because of his
crossing the
poop knife.
Grand Canyon on dental floss here. There's a number of things that could go wrong.
I heard there was certain establishments that wouldn't let you eat there if you're from a family that used a poop knife. And I think that's so wrong.
Your poop knives. You have to leave them outside.
Surely you wouldn't part an old man with his poop knife?
Told you to take the wizard's poop knife.
You can pry my poop knife from my cold, dead hands.
I open carry. I open carry my poop knife. Okay, so they arrive at the venue in Indiana. And
Hanover, Indiana.
yeah, he goes out on the stage like he's supposed to do. You see this shitty looking upright piano sitting there. It's all beat up.
There's garbage inside of it.
Yeah, there's
a real
literal
piece of
garbage in
shit.
there. Someone's been using it as a trash receptacle. There's like a crumpled chips wrapper inside of it.
Yeah.
Somebody blew their nose and just tossed the tissue in there.
Yeah, it's at some college there, and he tells the caretaker, he's like, hey, we were supposed to have a Steinway. It says in the contract. He says, these C words can play on anything. And he says, get a Steinway. Who do you think you're talking to, greaseball?
Slap!
Oh, man, does he smash this guy hard.
Yeah. Smash cut to Shirley playing on an immaculate-looking Steinway.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Once again, Tony
satisfying
Lip's,
stuff.
like appreciating the music being played. There's a number of those scenes. There's sort of like a hypnotic, repetitive pattern to this movie where there's the scenes with them driving in the car, bonding with each other. There's the scenes of Doc playing a show and Tony Lip kind of watching, and then there'll be like a drama moment punctuating everything.
It's kind of interesting because as they go back and forth, every time we see them get in the car again, they're a little bit closer, they're better friends. Each show that he plays gets like smaller, more stripped down. He's seen as like less of an equal.
It's a richer crowd in the deeper South venue, and it does get progressively more racist as things go along. And Tony Lip gets progressively less racist, I guess.
Shirley does ask why they call him Lip while they're listening to some rock and roll on the radio. There's a good scene where you hear Little Richard and all these great...
Why, you don't know Little Richard?
Hey, these are your people. And he's like, so why do your friends call you the Lip? And he's like, well, I'm the best bullshit artist in the Bronx.
And you're proud of this.
Yeah. It doesn't bother you that your friends think that you're a liar? But like, he really is portrayed as having no street smarts. Like, how do you not understand
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's
what
like
a
from
bullshit
Mars.
artist
He
is?
he's just a completely flat person. He has no edge or anything.
Like, you don't understand what a hustler is.
He's the
Like,
man
you
who
hired
fell to
this
earth.
guy to hustle.
He's only ever played in concert halls and been to music conservatories, and he's never ever talked to a human being who isn't involved in the music business.
He's
It's
really
a
kind
little
of,
far-fetched for me to believe that a black man from that time, or even anybody from New York City, would not understand a little bit about street culture.
his character really seems like they just put him in a gigantic hermetic container and just transport him from like place to place, and then they like let him out, and he's never really seen beyond
Yeah.
his like palace walls.
Yeah.
So they end up going to KFC. That now they're in Kentucky. Now they've taken that hard left.
Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky. What are we gonna do that again?
What's that ever gonna happen?
Can
You want
see,
some,
baby.
Doc? He's like, I've never had it. Who are you bullshitting? Your people love fried chicken, grits, collard greens. If you say, all Guineas like pizza and spaghetti and meatballs, I won't get offended.
Yeah.
So we do.
Doc's
They
like,
fucking do.
I don't want to get grease on my blanket, my car driving blanket that I put on my lap.
Tony, I only packed 3 more car blankets. If I get grease on this one, then we'll need to stop at the laundry.
He's obsessed with that blanket.
He's so
Yeah.
cozy, though.
So he passes him a piece of chicken finally. He reluctantly takes it and daintily holds it.
Yeah,
He's like, how am I supposed to eat this?
Where's,
Tony
Bafagool, eat it with your hands.
where's the utensils?
Tony Lip's just shoveling fried chicken into his face, and then like Doc is so daintily nibbling away on this drumstick.
Try the breast. They're the best.
Good.
That is a
And
good beginner's piece, the breast. That's a nice one.
They have a good little bonding moment. It's like, well, what do I do with the bones? You do this with them. And Tony starts throwing the bones out the window, and then Shirley joins in, and he's happy. You know,
He
they're-
laughs.
they're
He
laughing.
laughs for the
These are
first time.
biodegradable. We can throw these out of the window guilt-free.
Yeah, unless a dog comes and chokes on him.
The local fauna will dispose of these bones, and they'll go back, and
But then Tony
their
Lip,
stool will release nutrients back into the ground.
Tony Lip throws the soda out of the window, and Doc makes him stop, just like with the Jade Rock earlier, and go back and get it. You know, he's teaching him some important morals.
Yeah,
and stuff.
littering's not okay. You can throw out carcasses, dismembered body parts. That's fine.
Carrion will consume it.
That's a rule I go by. I
me
saw
too,
some piece
actually.
of trash throwing a fucking Tim Hortons
Dude,
cup
I've-
out of his truck window the other day.
Yeah.
I
I know
twitch.
that's so bullshit. But I've driven
it in
behind
your
you, and
truck.
I've seen you just tossing body parts out of your car.
Oh, for
Those are
sure. They
biodegradable.
biodegrade.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll throw an apple core on the ground.
Do you ever
I don't even
Do you ever
care.
like go past one
Yeah,
that
I'll
you something
throw
that you
a
throw
carcass
out
or-
like weeks later and it's still there? It's like, oh no,
Please,
like an orange peel or something like that. They're like,
Yeah, I don't really follow my trash trails.
you don't follow your trash,
No.
bro. You got to go back to see if anything grows.
If you guys want to find
Yeah.
me, that's how you'll do it.
You haven't downloaded a Trash Trail app? That's the latest hot app. That's what I use to chart my trash trail.
No, I leave a slug trail everywhere I go.
thick ooze. Where does it come from? It doesn't matter.
I'm cool with that depending on what kind of orifice that came out of.
Doesn't matter.
It
all
matters
of
a
them.
little.
All of them.
So in Kentucky, Shirley has to stay at a coloreds only motel. Lip has to go to the one just across town. We see Shirley and he's doing his typical nightly ritual of sitting outside, getting a breeze,
Getting
and
fucking
sipping
drunk.
his fucking bottle of scotch.
Yeah, getting liquored.
And there's a bunch of black people outside in the lot, of course, and they're having fun.
They're playing
They're
horseshoes.
socializing. They're playing horseshoes. He's horrified by the thought of playing horseshoes. They're like, hey, fancy pants, are you playing?
I prefer not to put my hand where the hoof of a horse is trod.
Yeah, like what?
He's just afraid he's gonna get his fancy suit all wrinkled.
Yeah.
throwing these here horseshoes.
This guy's got to loosen up. You know what? I hope at the end of the movie he loosens up because that's his
Yeah.
problem.
That would be good. Unwind a little. I mean, he's already getting liquored. Why not toss some horseshoes around?
He just does not want to hang out with the black folk at the black hotel. And he goes to a white bar nearby. We see Lip in his hotel room, and there's like tender music playing on the soundtrack. He's kissing his wife's picture. He's kind of reading the green book. Opens up a box of pizza as a full unsliced pizza. It's like a 16-inch pizza.
It's an extra large
Fucking
for
huge.
sure.
It's good for starters,
And it's
I guess.
unsliced.
The trick is you roll it up into like a taquito shape.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like ram it into
That's
your
what he does.
gullet.
He fucking
Yeah.
folds it in half and just starts going
goes
to
to
town
town.
on it.
When you're a competitive eater, you learn these kind of tricks.
That was the most memorable thing in this movie for me. 'cause
For me,
I
too.
saw this, whatever, a few years ago at least. So
And you don't see that anywhere else. And I love that. I don't know how many millions of people saw this movie because of all the Oscar hype and whatnot. I'm glad that everybody saw Viggo Mortensen eat a
Fold a
gigantic
pizza in
pizza,
half.
fold a pizza in half in his underwear. I loved seeing slob representation.
It matters to me.
How many takes do you think they had to do of him just eating pizza?
You don't know. That's true. You do always have to eat more on camera. And this is something I think I've mentioned it on the pod before. I heard it in Rob Lowe's audiobook as he was talking about how James Gandolfini is the best food actor.
Yeah.
He's like, in every scene, he's devouring food. And it's like, you think those are one takes? Like, you see him just eat an entire submarine sandwich. He did that like 4 or 5 times.
He'll do a thing where he just like plays with his food on the plate and moves it around with a fork and stuff. Like, it's interesting to see people have different tricks to make it almost give the appearance that they're eating something without actually having to eat 15 meatball sandwiches.
But Gandolfini would do it normally. He'd be fucking smashing some
He's
real
just
food.
rage eating. He'll just like rage eats
Yeah, there'll be like
sheets of cold cuts right out of the fridge.
Yeah, the cold cuts most famously, but you can see him fucking smash a plate of chicken parmesan as he's like screaming at Carmela or whatever.
There's a list of the stuff that he ate on the night that he died, like in a restaurant.
Like at James
like-
Gandolfini.
Yeah, he ate like 17 shrimp cocktails.
He was
and
going-
like a bucket of mussels.
He was
stuff
going
like-
for Tony Lip's record.
Yeah, he was competitive eating that night.
Was
Man,
Tony
that's a
Lip
bummer.
on the scene?
I don't
They
think
worked
so.
together.
No.
Right, we talked
I
about
know.
the
Tony
real
Lip
Tony Lip was on
fled
The
the
Sopranos.
He fled the scene.
Slowly barfing up
Yeah.
fucking shrimp.
James Gandolfini was a fit, svelte man before he met Tony Lip. Tony Lip showed him competitive eating, and he was never the same after that.
Want to see how to eat 26 hot dogs in one sitting?
God, what a loss. I blame Tony Lip.
I blame Tony Lip for a lot. So
And nevertheless, Shirley's in that bar, and these guys pull knives on him.
yeah, and Tony's eating his pizza, and then there's like a banging on the door, and Oleg's there, and says that, Mr. Shirley's in trouble. Dr. Shirley's in trouble. So he goes there to defuse the situation or rescue his buddy.
It was a horrible decision for Doc Shirley to go into this bar because it's like the most hillbilly bar. Like the patrons of this bar, the Hills Have Eyes.
You could be as
hillbillies.
educated as you want, but that doesn't give you street smarts.
Not the
Yeah.
bar you want to go into.
Not cool.
No, these guys aren't cool.
Yeah, they say this boy is going to get what's coming to him.
I don't
and they
think-
pull a knife.
Yeah, they're not good hangs.
No, not chill.
Netflix and not chill with these guys.
Yeah, so Lip comes in and he uses his classic Lip thing where he uses his bullshit artist and he diffuses the situation.
Yeah.
He pretends to have a gun in his waist belt. He kind of reaches his jacket back. And
He's a pretty badass line. It's like, no matter what happens here, you're gonna like either I get him or you're gonna get a bullet in your head or something like that.
yeah, and they're
he
like,
have a
"Is he
gun?"
bluffing?" And the bartender's like, "I'm fucking not." And he pulls out a shotgun. He's like, "Get these goddamn Yankees out of my bar."
No Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you don't know at that point. He doesn't reveal if he has a gun or not, so it could just be some genius bluff. And Doc Shirley kind of addresses it like, "Do you actually have a gun, Tony?" And Tony's like, "Hey, Doc, would I carry a gun with me on the road like that? I don't think so."
the movie makes it seem like he doesn't, but
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Is he that good?
except
great
we
of a
will
bullshit?
in 20 minutes.
We'll never know.
Yeah, so they have a talk outside, and it's like, he's like, "You can't just go down into a bar in this part of the country." And he's like, "Does geography matter? If I went into a bar in your neighborhood, would the conversation be any different?" And Doc Shirley makes a good point.
But Tony,
Honestly.
he says, yeah, but always stay, never leave my side. Basically, he wants it.
Yeah, you can never leave my side again. We're in the deep south now.
Yeah.
This is Indiana. We've passed the Kentucky border at this point
down
here, man.
south with the real races.
We're going down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They get out of there. So they have a little talk and they have their understanding. So they're going. The next day they're driving and their car breaks down.
Yeah, the old Cadillac overheats. One of the big Oscar scenes.
Yeah, Shirley gets out and he sees a group of black people working the fields and he's feeling conflicted about it. It's affecting him.
He's a black man being driven by a white man in the South, and he's dressed very fancily, and there's like a group of poor black farmers kind of tending this, what looks to be just a dirt field. I don't know, they're just like putting farmer tools in a field of dirt, and they just kind of stop and stare at him. And like jaws dropping, seeing this black guy being driven by a white man wearing a fancy
It's kind of,
suit.
standard movie toiling.
It's pretty heavy-handed.
Things are so
And everything
different.
will be from this point onward. It's like right around
This is
here.
where like your grandma watched the movie and is like, so great.
This is where the message starts to come in, and it really just starts beating you over the head with it. And it's, not particularly thoughtful. Then they're off to Raleigh, North Carolina.
They're at a fancy luncheon in Raleigh. Lip spits out the pimento cheese sandwich, returns it to the tray.
Not for me. Not for me.
The host asks Lip what Don Shirley would like to eat. They're like, oh, for our guest of honor, we've prepared your favorite meal, home-cooked fried chicken. And
good.
he's humiliated, of course.
Tony Lip's like, isn't that so smart that we went to KFC earlier? So you tried fried chicken for the first time.
Doc, thanks to my training, you're not embarrassing yourself in this situation.
Yeah, you can, hold your own.
Doc, I told you where to throw the bones. I told you what
You
to...
throw them out the window.
You got this, Doc.
Gotta bounce them off the servants' heads. We got Marlon Brando in the corner over there. He catches the bone.
There's still meat on this bone.
I've gone almost full reclusive, but I'm bulking up for another movie.
I'm in apocalypse now. Saw them feeding chicken bones to these kids.
The horror.
They cut off their arms and fed them the chicken bones. They inoculated them with chicken hormones.
So then that's when it goes a little even worse for Don. The Don goes up to use the restroom.
Just wants to take a piss.
And the so generous, genteel Southern host stops him from using the restroom.
I'm sorry, sir. You have to use our shit can out in the backyard, he says.
Can you please use the dirty shithole? That's for colored folk.
Yeah, he says, I'm not using that. He says, oh, I promise it's nice on the outside, on the inside. So I'm told.
It's the worst looking outhouse you've ever seen in your life. It's just falling apart.
I don't know. It looked like an outhouse.
Didn't
to
have
me.
a shit knife. Or didn't have a poop knife.
I am not using your outhouse if there is no poop knife.
I'm afraid that our poop knife isn't
Isn't
for your kind. Either I use your poop knife here, or I'm driving back to my motel to use my poop knife.
Doc, just use the toilet paper.
We can
Come on,
wait.
Doc.
Yeah, he
Just
tells
this
him
once.
Don he won't cause a fuss, but he will not break on his pride. He will not go out there. He says, I'm going 20 minutes back to the hotel. He gets in the car with Lip.
He kind of thinks it's like a leverage he can use against them, where he's like, well, if you can either let me use your toilet, or I'm going to travel back to my hotel room to use the toilet. I'm not going in the old shithole out back. I think he sort of expects them to cave on that point, but then the guy's like, okay, we'll wait while you go back to your hotel.
Yeah. Lip's like, how does he smile and shake their hands like that? They try that out, how shit on me, I'd piss right on the living room floor. And Oleg, the cello player's like, don't do that. It's easy for him to say that, and it's exactly what I thought and what I felt. I'd piss right on their fucking floor.
Yeah.
But like, in reality, that's my white privilege. That's his white privilege.
Yeah.
Thinking and talking, because it wouldn't go well for him if that were
That
the
Kraut,
case that he tried to make.
that Kraut guy has it right. He's like, we've got 26 more shows or whatever.
gonna
and
get worse.
We have contracts. You can't break the contracts. So there's going to be more of this. Expect it. You can't lose your cool every time you see some racist incident, because that's going to be the rule, not the exception going forward. Like, it's just going to be pure racism.
Yeah, Oleg explains that Don Shirley, he makes more money just playing up north. He could have just kept playing around the tri-state area, and it's easy money. But he asked specifically for this. So, yeah, we get another scene where Lip is writing a letter to Dolores.
Dear Dolores.
And this is where Don Shirley helps.
Yeah, it looks like a ransom note, Tony.
Dear Dolores, D-E-A-R. This is an animal. I'm meeting all the highly leading citizens of the town. People that use big words. All of them. But you know me. I get by. I'm a good bullshitter. I'm eating potato chips, and I'm starting to get thirsty. I washed my socks and dried them on the TV. I should have brung the iron.
There's something poetic about that. I don't know. I kind of like it. I think Doc is overstepping his bounds, trying to do a redraft on this letter.
It's such a corny plot point, the letters thing, and that, like, his wife would be so thrilled by it, but I guess...
Well, what do you think about it being the last line of the movie? That's the emotional heart of the movie.
It's just him learning to write better letters, slightly better letters to his wife.
He finds his own artistic voice by the end, where he's like, "Hey, Doc, I don't need you write my letters no more. I can write slightly better letters now."
That's just fine, Tony.
He rewrites a letter for him. It's, "Dear Dolores, when I think of you, I'm reminded of the plains of Iowa." And the plains? Like what plains? Was there plains there? He's like, no, the
Like
plains.
an airplane, like an aeroplane crashing.
I'm fucking stupid.
What's plain?
Like it goes vroom vroom.
Time and experience without you is meaningless to me. Falling in love with you was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Mahershala Ali dictating a love letter. I am hard as diamonds.
Swing.
Helicoptering that thing around. Good movie.
Hello. What movie is that?
Green Book.
Oh, this is
The one that gave you a rock hard boner.
The one that gave me a diamond cutting boner that I helicoptered
I
around.
thought you were talking about a helicopter dong movie. You just watch it in your spare time.
Like the full Monty. I haven't seen that one. I saw some penis puppetry though. I saw like a guy do a hamburger. Like he puts one ball on top of the penis and one ball on the bottom.
Look
of the
out,
penis.
it's Tony Lip.
It looks just like a hamburger. Tony Lip's gonna eat it.
Well, Doc, it looked like a hamburger. How was I supposed to know it was a guy's nuts?
You can't eat 48 guys' penises. We're not in the tri-state area anymore.
Like, man,
Healthcare in the South is very bad, Tony.
my competitor.
And
was
I've told you I'm not that kind of doctor. If you have a coronary,
Was he a doctor of psychology? Maybe he could have helped Tony Lip with that kind of problem.
well, Tony, why do you eat so much? What was your relationship with your father like?
My father, he only praised me when I ate 26 hot dogs.
So there's a scene where they go to a suit store and there's a really nice looking suit and the guy is welcoming to them, but then he's like, "Oh, can I try on this suit?" And he says, No. You can't try it on. If you want to buy it, we can tailor it to you later. And he walks out angrily. And
Tony
That's-
sees somebody treating his buddy the exact same way that he was treating
Yeah.
black people before.
Oh, we can't actually let you try on this suit because, you've got germs. You've got icky black germs that they'll go on the suit, which is sort of the same kind of weird pseudo-racist reason that Tony Lip threw the glasses out earlier.
It's all come full circle by now.
it's
Yeah.
funny to me because lately I'm seeing a lot of discourse online or on Twitter. People are like, "Hey, white people, do you wash your legs?" It seems like white people don't wash.
There's so many celebrities that just don't do it for
Like,
some
Oh, yeah.
black people wash. This is like canonically true.
I don't like it. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's something a person should do, but
Well, it's just I don't like the
Have you
water.
ever smelled a black person? They smell better than white people. There's a reason why white people smell like shit. We don't wash good.
man was meant to smell like shit. Don't you think? Our entire society is just strategies to get us to be able to tolerate one another, like deodorants and showers. Let's just all smell like shit.
We're just decomposing piles of meat, people. You're telling me I can't smell like a rotten steak?
There should be
The moldy hamburger I am?
the beauty of nature.
This is another dark and upsetting scene.
Oh, in Macon, Georgia.
Lip gets a call. It's late at night. The manager at the YMCA is there, and they caught Don and a man hooking up. Mm-hmm. All right.
Dawn was with a man
Yeah.
in a YMCA.
This movie is so sheepish about it.
you do the math. It's-
From the father of cum movies, acting like being gay is so taboo that we can't even say it or discuss it or
I
show
want to
anything
know
about it or have-
what happened. Were they doing butt sex? Were they doing oral sodomy?
Yeah.
What exactly was the sexual act?
who top two.
Yeah, exactly.
What
who
color-
came where? How many times?
Because either one of these guys look like they could be the twink of
Yeah.
this relationship.
Yeah,
so
well-
I don't know what's going on here.
Who's the top? Who's the bottom? What color handkerchiefs were they wearing? They were doing piss play. Were they doing shit play?
Yeah, exactly. What is the red handkerchief for?
Well, the episode
can
on
tell you
racism
the
got
what-
strangely homo-curious for a while. They weren't really
tell
saying
you
anything
that-
bad, but they were asking some strange questions.
Maybe Dr. Don Shirley was just showing that white man how to clean his fucking legs.
Oh,
How to wash his ass with a fucking washcloth.
Oh, you smell like shit.
Why don't
Hand me
you
that
white
washcloth.
people know how to bathe?
you know? Well, that's what he gets for being so highly cultured in the deep south.
It was a compromising position, and Tony has to bribe the cops to get them out of there with some nice
Yeah.
suits. We were walking by a suit shop. I saw some really nice suits.
The cops beat the shit out of them, and they're naked and bloodied, chained to a drain pipe.
It's pretty inhumane.
But the cops are receptive to the bribe. Oh, it's not a bribe. No. It's
a bonus. It's a gift.
A gift I give.
I checked. There's nothing on Don Shirley's Wikipedia page about him being gay.
No, I didn't see anything when I was doing my research.
I'm sure
my very
there's like
important
a
research for this either.
biography of him or something that talks about that kind of stuff. Maybe he's bi or...
From what I read about what his family had against this movie, that wasn't part of it.
Okay.
It was like, that wasn't the type of person he was. He was actually involved in the civil rights movement. He wasn't like a total recluse from black culture at the time.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that he's a little more attuned to what's going on.
Yeah.
In reality.
Maybe he was just a sexual freak. Just let it all hang out.
He had family that he stayed in touch with. Like, he wasn't like this lonely person. Like, he was like probably like a bit of a weird dude, but he wasn't like this
Did he
weird
actually stay in
recluse.
touch with his brother?
Yeah, I guess it like...
That's like a plot point.
I guess they wrote letters regularly.
Oh, because Tony Lip inspired him. Because remember
Yeah.
at the end, he's like, you should write more letters to your brother.
Dear brother, the spaghetti here tastes like fucking ketchup with ketchup noodles. Hey, thanks for the help.
The Emerald Plains remind me of your eyes, brother.
It's very much like Bohemian Rhapsody, where you make gay movies that are palatable to the septuagenarian
Yeah.
Oscar Academy audience that
Like-
are like, oh, we're okay with them being gay as long as it's in the shadows and we
Yeah.
don't have to confront
It's
it.
understood that you know what's going on as an idea.
We don't speak
We don't
of it.
we don't show it. We don't...
It's unspoken.
And we actually don't even say anything about it one way or the other.
Nothing is said about it.
Yeah,
in this
it's
movie
just a thing.
whatsoever.
The first
It's-
thing I
why
assumed,
even bring it up? I don't.
like,
Yeah.
when I saw Doc in the first scene sitting on his throne with his robes on, I assumed he was gay. And then later on,
You're like,
he's like, hey, look at that.
Your gaydar was going nuts.
No straight man would wear those satin robes.
I was
he's
watching my...
got his fucking fist out and he's holding the TV with the other hand, being like, "Are you cruising me, buddy? Are you cruising me, bro?"
What kind of handkerchief you wearing?
Mahershala Ali on the TV. What do you want to do? Piss play? All right.
I'm just looking at myself in the mirror, looking at my body, like a Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Okay.
Damn, I had a really important point to make here,
Your
but
body's
I
looking real
lost my
good,
train
bro.
of thought.
You've been taking care of it. It's good for you. You should look at like a psychopath in the mirror.
Don's upset. Fair enough. He's embarrassed. He's, having a horrible time. And
He's on a moral mission where basically he knows that he is righteous. He's in the right in all of these scenarios. Like he has like kind of like justice on his side, but people aren't seeing it his way. So anytime that Tony kowtows to racism, it offends Don. That's not what he's about.
It's half of a crusade to him, which is like directly opposed to Tony Lip's job, which is to grease the wheels, smooth everything over.
You know what I would have loved in this movie is more interiority into why he's doing this. You know what an interesting story is? Why would a world-renowned, classically trained pianist, a black pianist, decide to go on a tour in the Deep South? That's an interesting story.
Yeah.
we know you're interested in black penis.
Classically trained black penis.
Classic-
Really stupid joke. But, I mean, I love Thelonious Monk.
Yeah.
It's my favorite black penis.
Penis?
But I also love
Yes.
Liberace. I love white penists. I love every kind of a penis.
Did you guys listen to any Don Shirley stuff?
No. I thought about doing it on the way over,
Yeah,
but
I was
listen.
wondering if the music over the end credits.
I was worried-
would be his.
Worried I might not like it as much as I
turkey in the straw, turkey in the straw, turkey in the straw. Wow.
Chicken in the corn, cat.
The movie got it really
I
wrong. It
expected
kind of made it seem like he was doing jazz or making classical. Some
Doesn't
sort of
even
fusion.
sound like a Steinway when he plays.
Why
it.
is he playing the soundtrack to Hee Haw? Don Shirley's a character.
Yeah.
Even though he's like half the movie, he feels so underdeveloped.
Yes, that's exactly it for me too. Like we're entirely witnessing the movie through Tony Valley's eyes. He's just not a character. He's just like something for him to bounce off of and learn from or whatever. He's not a manic pixie dream girl, but he kind of serves the same function of bringing something out in the main character of the movie. Like Mahershala Ali is not a real character in this
No,
movie.
he's just a person
like
who needs to learn
an
how to eat
archetype.
fried chicken and throw bones out the window. That'll fix his life. That'll
It's not
fill
an
his
arc.
hole.
He's got a big old tight rod up his ass, and he needs to loosen up. And, Tony Lip's the guy who's going to show him how to loosen up and, throw it out the window.
You never used a poop knife, Doc?
Yeah.
Cut to Memphis, Tennessee. Tony runs into a couple of his old mob buddies who offer him some work, and Shirley overhears this.
Yeah, they're speaking Italian to him, right? They're like, what are you doing working with this Tetsoon? Only the rest of it's Italian also.
It's like, hey, don't call him that.
He's not like trying to hide that he's working for Doc Shirley or anything like that.
He's like a little aloof about it. Like he's a little
Yeah.
cagey about what he's given up, but also that's kind of how he was talking before. He's like, no, I'm working. No, I'm good.
The money's already coming in.
Later that night, they agree. He's like, we're not going to talk about it here. They agree to meet up later, so Tony's going to sneak out to the bar. He's not sneaking out. He's going out to the bar, and Shirley confronts him in the hallway. And he's like, where are you going, Tony? Don't.
Explain yourself. I'm just going for a couple drinks,
yourself,
Doc. His lips are pursed.
They have a standoff, and that's a thing that works for me every time where he's like, before you go and talk to those men, I want to increase, I want to double what I'm paying you. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then Shirley starts talking Italian to Tony. Basically saying like, I heard everything you said.
That's a classic trope in movies.
It's so good.
Anytime somebody be like, or préférez-vous le français? Oh, no, he knows all the languages.
There was a little foreshadowing earlier, right? Because he was speaking a foreign language to someone else.
speaking
I didn't expect him to know another one.
He knows multiple languages.
Hey, speak a fucking Italian.
I was looking at Doc Shirley's Wikipedia article, and he was going to go to school for like Oriental languages too. So he might have been some kind of one of these language guys who speaks lots of different languages.
I'd like to learn some Oriental languages. Is there any Orientals around here who can tell me how to speak their languages?
From the Jade Empire.
Ni hao. Okay, but then Tony reveals that he wasn't gonna take the job anyways. He was gonna go tell him off. So this kind of makes Shirley smile, and he
Go tell him to take a shit.
Doc
bring a
Shirley.
poop knife and tell them where to shove it.
He's like, he wants to give him like a big promotion. He's like, I'm gonna make you band manager. I'm gonna give you like way more money because I know those Goombas downstairs are offering you more.
You can use my
$125 a
poop
week.
knife, Tony. It has an ivory handle.
Did you ever wonder what the tusks in my office before, Tony?
That's like when you spit
Ivory
your
handled
hands
poop knives.
and do like a best friend handshake, like sharing poop knife. That's like the ultimate bond. That's not an everyday thing. You don't do that with an acquaintance.
No, I don't know if I'd share my poop knife with either of you guys.
No. You know what? You guys can use my poop knife.
Oh shit! Now I look like
That's
an
what
asshole. Now I look like an asshole. Always let the
So-
other person lead.
Yeah, exactly. Big mistake. Now you're an asshole. And I'm the good guy.
Okay.
Dummy.
So there's more montages, there's letters, they're driving through different places, Tony's flipping off people. They're getting along fine.
They're always driving.
They get pulled down in sundown town.
Yeah, and that's pretty intense.
That was a big mistake. They should have read the Green Book. I'm sure the Green Book would have been like, don't drive after sundown here.
Yeah, but Tony can't read. They never check that out. But he has a great line where they're driving and like he blows a flat tire. I think what happens, and he's like, your mother's ass.
Scapagool.
These cops in the sundown town, they don't take too kindly to them being
No.
a black guy riding around in their town after dark.
They don't particularly like that they're from New York. They don't particularly like
They don't like
Italians.
Yankees. There's like a list.
Yankees.
There's a list of things they don't like, and they check
Yeah.
pretty much all. By the end of this whole encounter, they check pretty much all of them because
Yeah.
it turns out Italians on that list too.
Yeah, he's like, well, what's your name, sir? And he goes, Tony Vallelonga. And he's like, oh, I see. That's why you're driving him around. You're half a N-word yourself.
Oh yeah, and Tony pops him in the face.
Yeah, Tony Lip don't take kindly to that.
Yeah.
Of course, they wind up in the slammer.
Clank.
They get a phone call, and it's like, well, I still have rights. Oh, he says he has rights.
And
Oh,
then
no.
one guy in the background's like, oh, you know what? He's right. He actually does have rights.
Let me just check the rule book right here, fucking
Yeah.
Barney Fife.
There's like the older in charge cop who's clearly been a racist forever, and then
the guy who's
cop's
like doesn't have. Then there's the middle-aged one who doesn't have a chin. And
Yeah,
there's like the younger guy.
He's the guy who got punched. What
Tony
was it?
punched his chin right into his face.
They make a phone call, and it's to Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy.
Heard of him?
Yeah. Bobby
Not
Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy Jr., the great man who will soon be the next president of the United States.
Doc Shirley, yeah, he calmly kind of navigates the whole situation, but he's very embarrassed by the whole thing because you don't necessarily want to call Bobby Kennedy and tell him that you're need to be sprung from the joint.
Did you guys fact check? Did this happen?
I wouldn't
buy
be
that.
surprised either way. The person who calls them to get them out of the jail is the governor, so in some roundabout way, like Bobby Kennedy calls the governor to like spring them from the pen.
Hey, what's the matter, Donnie? Did you lose your poop knife again? You can borrow mine. Oh,
Kennedy
you're in
poop.
jail.
You'll be kept away from your poop knife in there.
Hope I don't get my head blown off. Oh no, someone's shooting me.
Yeah.
If only I hadn't left my poop knife.
You never wish your head doesn't get blown off.
That's true.
Because that's just asking for your head to get blown off. That's why I never wish.
So every day when I walk out of the house, I say, I hope today's the day my head gets blown off because I know that things like that work
Reverse
opposite.
psychology. Yeah. Take that, fate.
After this phone call, the head guy in charge gets a dressing down, then he gives the other guy a dressing down, and they're free to go.
And then this is where we get Mahershala Ali's big Oscar speech. He did win the Oscar for this role, I believe.
He did, yeah.
This is where he's like, what do you know about the streets? I'm blacker than you. And he's like, you think knowing Little Richard makes you blacker than me? I live on the streets. You sit on a throne. So yeah, my world's way blacker than yours. And he's like, if I'm not black enough, and if I'm not man enough, then I'm not white enough. Then tell me, what am I?
What am I, Tony?
What am I?
Yeah, it's pouring rain.
It's
The pouring rain. Is,
Yeah, it's
and the strings, the
yeah,
music.
everything's going on overdrive. And
Doc Shirley makes him pull over and then walks out in the rain, and Tony Lip's kind of following in his wake, and they're both
Yes.
soaking wet, and it's almost like
It's so dramatic.
It's like The Notebook.
Nonetheless, good scene.
Yeah.
yeah, good actor.
And he's right.
Again, I don't know
As
how
much as you buy the character, which is like 60%, and that's like all on the actor, not the script.
So this is like the central conflict of his character, right? And does this get resolved at all at the end? Does he know who he is?
No, he has dinner with white people. That's his
about it, yeah.
fucking thing. He's like, oh, I should have never left New York.
Yeah. I guess I'll go right back to where I started, 3 blocks away from where I started. Mm-hmm. So here we're at the final stop. We're in Birmingham, Alabama. Sweet home, Alabama. Skinner's just coming off stage, and we got Don Shirley on deck.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
It's
Reese
Christmas.
Witherspoon's
Everything's Christmas.
Back there to fall in love with a local guy.
Everybody's drinking Alabama Slammers.
Should be noted, this movie came out on my birthday in 2018.
Oh,
What a present.
What a gift to you.
In late November, so like they absolutely pushed this in for award season, and they made the big push for it. And of course, that's Christmas season as well. So it's like, oh, this is going to be a big
Man.
Christmas hit.
Double gift.
It really is. It's all about an Italian man trying to get home for Christmas.
Earlier in the movie, he kind of laid those stakes down to Doc Shirley. He's like, hey, Doc, I know you got a lot of concert tours to go on here, but do you think there might be a good chance we might get home in times for Christmas?
We'll see, Tony. I appreciate that the movie didn't just bring it up every other time. It's like, well, we better hurry up or else we're not going to be home for Christmas, Tony.
If you misbehave again, Tony, we won't be home in time.
Two
for
or three more mentions of Christmas, and they could have just had this running on TV every Christmas for the next 50 years. They kind of dropped the ball.
If they hit
Could've
the
been a
snow just a
Hallmark
little bit
movie.
earlier.
Some movies deserve to be Christmas movies, like Holdovers. We'll see. I don't think we're going to see that on Christmas all the time, but I think that could be a great one families watch.
That's
That
a
would
great
be a
Christmas
great
movie.
The Krampus, I think, would be a great Christmas classic. I don't know if you guys saw Krampus.
It's a fun little movie.
Yeah, with the horror element, that's fun for a guy like me who doesn't
There's
love
a-
Christmas but loves horror.
You have
There's
a
a
bunch of
good
weird imp
section-
things living in your basement.
Yeah,
Yeah, they welcome the guest of honor at Birmingham, give him this parking spot right up in front of the mansion. He can put his blue Cadillac there, and then they immediately escort him to a broom closet for a dressing room. They're like, here's your dressing room. They've got like a star and his name on the door. And
It's like there's like a milk crate for a chair, essentially. It's pretty.
a segregated establishment.
it's dog shit.
I don't like
I
it.
would have pissed on the floor of that dressing room.
I think that type of behavior is wrong, and I'm glad that there's movies that are facing that matter head on.
I would have been plenty happy with that dressing room. It was a nice half closet size. I would have been able to do anything I wanted in there. I could sit. I could
I mean,
stand.
in New York nowadays, they charge you $4,000 for fucking renting that room. now this is where it really comes to a head. They're in the dining room. There's Tony Lip and his bandmates, Oleg and George, and they're sitting there. Nice looking dining room. It's a country club in Alabama. You'd think somebody might have told Don Shirley while he's getting changed into a fucking tuxedo in a fucking broom closet that he's not invited to the dinner in the dining hall.
Yeah, Tony Lip even asked that maitre d' guy earlier when he like brought them to the broom closet dressing room. He was like, "Hey, where's the restaurant at?" That would have been the perfect opportunity for that guy to be like, "Oh, well, it's over there, but we would have to accommodate Doc Shirley differently if he, nice little maitre d' way.
We
of
can
putting
bring
things.
a plate to Doc Shirley to enjoy in the yard. Or
Yeah.
something. Like, you could have said that at least to avoid conflict. I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but they could have even gone about it better.
Doc Shirley wasn't expecting this, but it is like part of his crusade is like he's gonna stand against any of this behavior that he encounters upon his
And take the
journey.
high road.
That's what he's all about. So basically, they talk about it. They're not going to budge. He's like, well, then I'm not going to play.
He kind of gives Tony Lip the choice because like Tony Lip is sitting with the Russian guy and watching this whole thing go down.
Tony comes to join because he's kind of like, he's the enforcer or whatever. So they're talking about it. Surely he's not going to play at all. And so then the maitre d', the manager guy, or whatever, he like brings Tony Lip aside. He's like, you got to get your boy to play. You got to get like,
your boy
I have a
in
bunch
line.
of people here.
Yeah, he goes, Mr. Villanueva, getting his name completely wrong. You have to talk sense into him.
At this point, then like Shirley's kind of watching this whole thing goes on, and he's like, and he gives Tony the choices like, I'll play if you want to. I'm like, why is that happening? Why does Tony get the choice? And then Tony's like, let's get out of here. But like, what the fuck? Can Don Shirley do anything in this movie? What the fuck is Don Shirley?
This is my journey, Doc Shirley.
It really...
Why are you here right now?
Hey, why is there a black guy trying to tell my story?
Why is this black guy trying to tell how I didn't become racist no more?
And that's when I decided that me and Mr. Shirley, Dr. Shirley, we were gonna go to the other bar. P.S. Kiss the poop knife.
Kiss the poop knife for me.
That's one of the options that Maitre D
Italian
lays out. He's like, you can go to the other bar, like
The Orange Bird, it's called.
the Orange Bird.
Yeah, and that's where they wind up going. They say, fuck this place. They're not gonna play it. Now we're in a bar with some life in it. There's people.
The food looks better there, too. I must
Everybody's
say.
having a good time. It's not a stuffy bar. It's the black bar in town.
Yeah.
They're way overdressed
That's
for
the
this
place
scenario.
I would go, for sure.
Yeah. If you want to have like a good time, then go to that place. Yeah, and then the waitress is just kind of like being like, what are you doing dressed like this? What do you do? And Shirley's downplaying his piano skills, and then she finds out that he's a piano player, and then before you know it, he's up on stage. He sits at this piano. It's not a Steinway, mind you. It's a little rinky-dink stand-up upright piano.
He takes the glass of whiskey off of it because earlier he was kind of talking to Tony Lip and he was like, I will not become another Negro entertainer
Yeah.
who is smoking and playing with a glass of whiskey on the piano.
He'll
So
change a little bit. He'll like kind of meet you halfway a little bit, but he isn't going to
Yeah.
compromise on
I
everything.
resent that. Thelonious Monk was genius. Smoking a whiskey.
No one
But a
can
different
play-
player. I mean, Monk played. He's smashing multiple keys at once. He's clumsy, big hands.
He can't play Chopin like Doc Shirley.
Hey,
Nobody can play Chopin.
Anybody can sound like Joe Pan. Nobody can sound like you. That's what he says in the movie. He's like, what's your name? Don Shirley. Nobody can sound like Thelonious Monk, for that matter.
Don Shirley. He's
Beethoven.
the Don of
Beige.
the New York crime fam.
Don Shirley's in for some serious trouble, but we're in for some serious fun.
Don Homer.
Did you say he's going to go fight Lopan? Okay, so then he sits down. He plays some nice classical music, and the whole room is they're giving him their rapt attention.
Yeah.
And then the blues band comes on, do a little count-in, and then they play a bluesy little number. And
like the stand-up bass guy, he's like, he takes the lead on this whole thing. He's like taking the band for a spin, and Doc Shirley's kind of jumping in and having just a great time showing off, playing some of this rock music. Like, he's doing a little Jerry Lee Lewis.
I actually had like a bit of an issue with that because, from what I understand, he hadn't been exposed to any of that type of music at all until like 2 days ago.
Pete, you don't think he could pick up and play a little bit of blues?
I think he could, but
after
like,
hearing Little Richard a few times and stuff.
I
and
guess
Chubby
that they've been
Checker,
listening
Sam
to Little
Cooke.
Richard the whole time.
And he is a
Okay.
bit of a savant, too.
Sure, yes, he's a great musician, but I guess I didn't think that they were listening to the radio the whole time. It just
There was
sounded
a
like they
few
listened to it, like,
scenes
once.
of them listening to popular music.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess there's a key
Yeah,
scene,
okay, then
but
nope, he's
I
fine.
guess we could.
I don't know. It sounds pretty complicated. He's like, you think you can play Chubby Checker? You think you can play Little Richard? I don't know. Sounds pretty complicated. And it's like, we know it's fucking
Yeah, of course he could play it.
It's like one chord just fucking going in and in and in and in and in
Yeah.
on rhythm. That's pretty easy for a classical player, right?
But
Yeah,
can
I
he
guess,
play?
but you need to like understand what the style is. But he did.
No way he could play.
That's fucking bullshit.
I have problems with this movie.
There's no fucking way he
Actually-
can play the blues like that.
He
What
was
a fucking little
classically
Mary Sue.
trained. He was in the Moscow Orchestra, actually.
They didn't
If he was Michael Keaton in a Weekend Warrior blues band, then I believe he's the best musician, best blues guy ever.
Roll over Frosty.
That's the thing, like, I'm not a good musician. You're a better one than I am, but like 12-bar blues, anybody can play it.
Oh yeah,
I can play lead guitar on 12-bar blues, and
I
but
just
I
like-
guess
but, like-
I've heard it.
yeah. Like
I've heard
if
it.
you've
I
never
know
heard a music type, it's like here,
Yeah.
let's play this like blorpsy blorp.
Blurby blurb. I don't know. It's like mumble rap.
I guess Dr. Don Shirley lived long enough to hear mumble rap. I'd love to hear.
I hope he got to produce some.
They both lived till their mid 80s.
2013. They both died in 2013.
Within
just a
months
few
of each
months
other.
of each other. Yeah, yeah.
As the end credits of this
Isn't that
film.
romantic? That's what it says.
Yeah.
One died in January. One died in April.
It shows pictures. You see all the nice pictures of Tony Lip, the real Tony Lip, looking like an old man with veneers. And he looks so old.
You know, 2013, not a bad year to die.
No.
But speaking
Yeah.
of dying, let's put this fucking movie to bed. There's only
Wish
a
I
few
died
more
then.
scenes.
Yeah, so Shirley brings down the house. They're leaving. They're having a great time. He's like flashing some cash, and Tony pulls out his handgun. That now we know he has a handgun. He starts shooting it into the air to scare some people making out on his car away. And
They went in the bar and Doc pulled out his wad of cash and that
Oh,
guy
right.
clocked
That
him.
makes more
So
sense.
then they come outside and Tony Lip immediately realizes that there's a guy hiding behind their car. He's like, yeah, Doc, we're gonna go. Don't worry, but I gotta shoot my gun first to scare him off. Scares
bada
him
bing.
off.
And so yeah,
That's how we
then
do it in the fucking Bronx.
Yeah.
Shirley's like, you know, Tony, I think there's still time. Time for what, Doc?
You think we can get home for Christmas in time,
There's
Doc?
just enough time to get back in time for Christmas. Christmas time.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
And they're driving and it's snowing and Tony's all blurry eyed and here's where they blow a tire and they have to change it. And this cop pulls up and you think they're in trouble.
Oh yeah, you're so
Yeah,
primed
they got pulled over.
for like a racist incident to happen. Just watching every authority figure for the last hour just be totally racist.
But
that
no,
you're like, oh.
no, this movie has to redeem cops. It makes sure that it tells you all cops are not,
Yeah.
in fact, bastards, you fucking prick kids.
He leans
Listen,
in.
this is a good cop. Cops are good, actually.
The cop's like, hey, Tony Lip, we're not all bad.
We're okay with folks of all colors
You
here
know
in
your
the
tire's
north.
flat.
Welcome home.
Yeah.
We're gonna help you.
It just undermines the entire message of the movie.
My daughter's in an interracial relationship and I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, I encouraged it.
I barely physically abuse my wife. I'm a good cop.
He's one of the good
Have
ones.
yourself a merry little Christmas.
Peace on earth.
Police brutality, pum.
Yeah, they make it home.
Tony's
Tony's
can't
falling
drive
asleep.
anymore.
Don takes the wheel heroically and fucking drives the car
So
a little
then
bit.
now
into
his
the
character
city.
arc is complete.
He drove
He's
a white
driving
man.
the white man around.
He drives him to his house.
We finally put him in his place.
He's like, Tony, we're at your house. Tony's like, why don't you come inside, Doc? Doc's like, just silently drives away.
I'm gonna go sit alone in my palatial,
I
in my
have to.
Carnegie Hall loft.
I must dismiss my Indian manservant, and then I'll be back with a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, do you think that guy went home at all while he was gone, or has he just been like faithfully waiting at the door for Doc Shirley to come home?
I wonder, because Doc Shirley comes back and the servant's like, is there anything you need, sir? Doc Shirley's like, no, you can go be with your family now.
I was hoping I could sit down, sir.
No. Go be with your family
I've
now.
been standing here for 3 months.
I never bonded with you like I did with Tony Lip. I just don't know what it is. You were too, you weren't
You don't eat enough fried chicken.
You didn't teach me nothing.
We see Tony with his relatives. Tony, how was the trip? Yeah, how was he? The Tatsoon. Did he get on your nerves? And he, yeah,
Oh.
that's when he goes, Don't call him that.
He corrects a family member
And
over
Dolores
the use
is
of
like,
a racist
oh,
language.
look, he's slightly less racist. Good.
Because she noticed earlier when he dropped the glasses in the garbage can.
Yeah, she picked them up and she kind of shook her head at Tony.
Yeah, so she was like,
Hey, I'm racist too, but not that racist.
yeah. And he's a little more racist than I would like. He's not so racist he's using N-word, but he's racist enough that he's like secretly throwing glasses out. So.
Yeah, he's ashamed to be racist.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
So then when he corrects his family member, she's like, he is mildly improved. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
Then knock, knock on the door. There's Dr. Don Shirley. You must be Dolores. Buon Natale. And they're all like, oh my God, he speaks Italian.
So cultured.
Bring him a plate.
And he goes, thank you for sharing your husband with me. And she goes, thank you for helping him with the letters.
And it may as well just like zoom in on like a heart and just like fade to black that way or something. It's so modeling. Green Book, and then we get a little blurb. They lived, they died within a few months together. They don't think their deaths had anything to do with each other.
Pictures
Separate
of Dr.
incidents.
Shirley there. It says, Igor Stravinsky said of Dr. Shirley that his virtuosity is worthy of the gods.
Doc Shirley throughout the movie a couple times is like, would Stravinsky play like this? Like, I think Stravinsky was a guy he enjoyed.
I think Stravinsky's somebody that most of us don't think of as a contemporary with people from modern times. That quotation carries a bit of weight. Lip went back to being maitre d' at the Copa.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention Lip's acting career.
no.
He was in some Scorsese movies. I think a Paul Schrader movie.
He was
or
in
two.
The Godfather. He's one of these guys who was just in like
Francis Coppola.
every
He's got a
Italian
look.
mob movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he played Carmine Lupertazzi, as we said in The Sopranos. He was like one of the most hilarious characters. He was in charge of the New York crime family.
Yeah.
That,
The
like-
New York family.
Yeah, like the bigger family than
Yeah.
the Sopranos, that the Sopranos dealt with. And the joke was kind of that he was such an old fuck, but he wouldn't die. He'd be like, I'm not going nowhere. It's like, when I die, I want my son to take over, but I'll be around for a long time yet. And then eventually he just like keeled over in the middle of dinner with Tony Soprano or something.
If he was half as tough a bastard as he's portrayed in this movie, then R.I.P. to a real king. Like,
Yeah.
honest to God.
Yeah.
Racism aside, mild or
No,
not.
he figured all that out
Oh, yeah. He got better.
back in 62.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to use that word no more.
I don't normally go in for movies that are based on true stories, but these are kind of interesting cats.
What if I told you this was inspired by a true story?
Well, that's inspiring.
We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk about White Man's Burden.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back. We just discussed 2018's Green Book, the Academy Award winner for Best Picture.
Rightful.
Rightfully so. You know, the Academy doesn't often get it right, but that was one of the years where they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, looking at some of the Best Picture nominees from that year, you've got Green Book.
Yes, please, more of that.
You've got Black Panther. You've got Black Klansman.
Oh,
By black people, for black
Yeah.
people, and really about black people and their stories? No, thank you.
No, got a
tell me more about that nice Italian man.
Black Milkman, Black Postal Delivery Man. It was a year of all kinds of black-centric movies. They chose Green Book as the winner.
So 2018, obviously, the best year for movies and we just discussed the best movie of it.
Yep.
Now,
Best year for race politics.
so now we're going to turn the clock back about 20-some years. We're going to go to 1995. John Travolta, he's on the scene. He just was in Pulp Fiction.
It's funny, the top credit in this movie is like the first name that appears is producer Lawrence Bender.
I was
who-
thinking, is Lawrence Bender he produced Pulp Fiction?
He's
Is he-
famously was Quentin Tarantino's producer for his first handful of movies. Like he did Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
So is he like trying to find his next big thing
Was
in this
Weinstein
Desmond
not
Nakano?
with Tarantino on those first couple?
I guess they're all producers. Producer is such an umbrella term. With like almost
but-
anything you could do could be a producer. But
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 Lawrence
with
Bender.
Weinstein, he had like a lot of creative control.
oh yeah, he always exercised his control. That's what people say about him.
Is he out of jail?
I think he has been freed recently. as well as Bill Cosby.
That's how the system does work. White Man's Burden came out in 1995. It's written and directed by Desmond Nakano. This movie, of all the movies we've covered that don't exist, this one doesn't exist the most.
Yes.
It was impossible to find it for rent, to borrow anywhere from the local movie store, and they have like all sorts of deep cuts at the lobby. I think we all had to watch this by stitching together 6 separate videos from multiple websites.
Yeah, I don't know if this thing ever got like a DVD release or something.
I asked on the lobby Facebook group if anybody, I just posted the picture. I'm like, can I rent this somewhere? And this one guy's like, I have multiple copies. I buy a copy every time I see one, open and unopened copies. So like they exist out there, but they're super rare.
Interesting.
And most of them belong to this one guy who
has like a unique mental disorder where he has to collect every White Man's Burden copy.
that's his burden.
I'll say that it has twice as many views and reviews on Letterboxd than our Macbeth remake that we covered.
Well, maybe it's in that weird sweet spot where
But-
no one cares about Macbeth, so you can watch it on YouTube. But maybe somebody cares about a John Travolta movie from the 90s, so they're policing it a
Harry
little bit.
Belafonte is a big star.
Yeah, big
Rest
stars.
in peace. He just died this past year.
Before Beetlejuice 2 came out. That's such a shame. He could have he could have done a cover of his old Deo
Gotta
Banana.
have the slow down children's choir version.
That's on the trailer for Beetlejuice 2.
I would have so much rather just heard
It's a joke, I think.
Harry Belafonte sing slowly.
So yeah, this movie, the premise of White Man's Burden is, what if black people and white people socially switched places? Black people were the factory owners. They were in all the positions of power, and white people were the underclass.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the gist of the entire movie.
That's kind of the one note it hits, and it hits that note again and again. Much like Green Book, it doesn't really have much to say aside from an idea. Here's a concept, and the movie kind of lands flat.
It's likable enough. There's not much impact. It's just a race swap movie.
It's slightly more interesting than that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where the gang all are black.
Could be a Twilight Zone episode, actually.
Yeah, even Rod Serling wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm just going to put my cigarette out on this script right here.
I won't consider that.
Consider this. You are fired. To the intern who brought him the script.
Consider this. If you ever give me a piece of garbage like this again, I'll hunt you and your family down.
I'll show him. I'll grow up to direct White Man's Burden.
And so Mr. Desmond Nakano was born,
Yes.
who I believe is Japanese.
On the Wikipedia article, it kind of says that he wrote and directed this as feeling like an outsider from both white and black people. So it's from a third perspective.
So he was like the Switzerland. He's like a neutral. He has one foot in both worlds. So he's like, I can direct this movie.
Yeah.
I can navigate both these worlds.
It kind of seemed like he didn't feel at home in either place. So he kind of wanted to write a movie about being
I think he
out of place.
overstepped. I feel comfortable in saying that he really missed the mark on this.
Yeah.
way out
and
of line, Nakano.
And there's some interesting stuff in
Way out of line.
Don't worry, he didn't do much.
This ruined his career.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's probably listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Nakano.
Tell your friends.
He's got Google alerts if anyone says Nakano in a podcast.
Oh, geez. His computer's going to blow up after this episode.
Like a computer virus.
I don't know what he was thinking.
So we open on
Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte. He's talking, and his
great.
voice, it's just seared into my mind. I've listened to his music a lot. He has a very distinct way of speaking, kind of like a skusky little high voice.
He's off and on with his performance in this for me. Like sometimes you're like, okay, this isn't like a pro actor, but then he mostly gets by through the movie. Like he makes it work.
He
It's
can
fine.
act a bit. A lead role is maybe a lot for him. He's not Sidney Poitier.
There's a couple times where it's like he's reading off cue cards or something.
For a legendary musician, legendary talk show host, legendary civil rights activist, the fact that he can act this well is pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
He's a real
Not
Renaissance
bad.
man. Yeah.
For the most part, he holds his own against John Travolta, who is taking some big swings, making some big choices.
John
Oh, yeah.
Travolta's doing a black voice.
It's, yeah.
But it's weird because he's like the only only white guy in the movie who's going for that like black vernacular. Like his wife doesn't talk like that. His kids don't talk like that. No other white person in the movie talks like that. So it's
really no.
Everybody else is just speaking in kind of like non-regional diction, maybe like working class New York or wherever this Chicago. I don't know where it takes place.
Harry Belafonte. He's having a toast around a table full of
White people are genetically inferior.
Yeah,
because
they
the
have
children
white
are raised
maids.
without fathers.
well, they're having like a typical a race swap conversation, and Belafonte's like, "Are you telling me these people are civilized? They burn down their own communities." Talking about white people.
Yeah, I think he's a landowner. He's quite wealthy, we can see.
He owns at least one factory that we know of. Like,
Yeah,
he owns that
he's a
chocolate
landlord.
bar factory. Yeah.
It's like, what kind of people burn down their communities? They could be genetically inferior. They could be social issues. Who cares at the end of the day?
Culturally crippled, socially deprived. All these arguments mean absolutely nothing. The bottom line is a very simple question. Are these a people who are beyond being helped?
White man's burden.
Roll credits.
He mentions in one of his little diatribes here that they don't have fathers, and this is going to play a big role in the movie because
Maybe this is a rabbit hole we don't want to go into, but do you guys know what white man's burden means? Because I don't even really know.
it's from a Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thrust of it, I think, is like it's the white man's burden to bring civilization, to bring civility into non-white folk, and
Oh, interesting. Like
Yeah.
a manifest destiny thing. Like
Yeah.
but into the soul, into the hearts and minds and souls of non-white folk.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I
bad-
wrote my dissertation on it. Let me tell you.
No, I understand it. We learn about it in school, as I recall, but I mean,
Well, it's a phrase
it's not
I
a-
always remember hearing, but
It's not a great title for a movie. I'll say that.
no.
It's probably why it didn't open.
Yeah, and also
wide.
I don't really get what it has to do with this movie.
No, I mean, you're just putting a provocative phrase about the white man's burden is about colonialization, which isn't exactly what this movie's about.
This movie
It
is
is
about
and it
what if white
isn't.
people and black people switch places.
Yeah,
and that is entirely it.
a one-for-one swap.
Why don't you walk a mile in the other person's shoes?
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
it.
It's a smooth brain fucking
Yeah.
premise for a movie
Like a-
where you're talking about white man's burden, like that, like actually requires some dissection. There's like some understanding you need to have about like history and context and geography and all of how these things matter. This movie does none of that.
It's an alternate dimension,
Yeah.
alternate timeline movie. It would have been a more interesting story maybe if it was like America was normal and then the roles swapped or something, and then you have to see like white people adjusting to being on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, we get the tune over the credits. Dream baby, dream baby. And we see a chocolate factory floor, and it's largely employed by white people.
Got a bunch of white chocolate bars
Yeah.
being coated in brown chocolate.
Yeah, what is this? Some kind of a marshmallow interior? That's what I assume seeing.
Nougat.
Nougat, perhaps?
You're making nougat on my factory floor. Harry Belafonte is Willy Wonka in this movie, except his chocolate
Hell
factory
yeah.
is not.
It's so much less
That much
whimsical.
I don't fuck with nougat. White chocolate isn't
Yeah.
real chocolate anyway. That's just
marshmallow.
palm oil or coconut oil.
Very unethical kind of oil, from what I've heard.
Oh, it burns the forest down.
So the
Climate change.
now you got me.
We're green. We don't use that shit.
Get the fuck out of here with this nougat bullshit.
So
Howard Shore did the music for this movie. I don't know if anybody caught
yeah,
that.
I caught Howard Shore. Of course, he did the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which everybody loves. And before that, for many years, for decades prior, he mostly did like groovy synth scores, which is what he's doing here. In like grindhousey type movies, he did that.
Yeah.
This is magnum opus, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
Forget about Lord
His
of the Rings.
most
Forget
memorable.
about the Two Towers. It's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ton to do here. So we see Travolta working on the floor, doing manual labor. The supervisor calls him over, asks him to deliver a package. And he says, well, I'm off the clock, and nobody else wants to do it. And he says, all right, I'll accept.
This is how you
know-
get a promotion in here.
Yeah, he's a go-getter.
He's a keener.
He wants some upward mobility.
They called two of these like factory floor workers up, and they're like, "Hey, one of you guys got to deliver the package." And the other guy's like, "Man,
Oh, it's for the big man. I'll deliver a package.
Am I getting overtime for this? I don't think so. And then Travolta just like a bootlicker. You know, he's gonna deliver the package to Belafonte.
Yeah, he's a scab.
He's a class traitor.
Put myself on the radar with the big man upstairs.
Understandable, I guess.
As he's driving to the big man's house, Harry Belafonte's place, you kind of see that he's living in this opulent neighborhood. There's a lot of well-to-do black people walking around with
Gated community.
gated communities. You see little white people figurines on a couple of the lawns. I know that like a racist trope in like the South,
Like a little gnome.
Yeah.
Like those gnomes.
like a little jockey or something like that. I think that was like a Curb Your Enthusiasm bit this last season too.
Yeah, there was a racist little lawn jockey.
Yeah, and he gets up to Belafonte's place, and he's got peacocks. This guy lives on like a huge, rolling estate.
It's beautiful. It does a little juxtaposing back and forth with the dirty white neighborhood at certain points.
You know it's a good neighborhood where people run for leisure and not just from the cops.
Not for their lives. John Travolta is just trying to find the front door of the place. He's never seen a house so big. He winds up behind where the Mrs. Belafonte is getting changed, and he's just kind of like looking around like a goof.
He was a little too open with his glances because the whole thing is here. He sees Harry Belafonte's got this foxy young wife who's like out of his league if he wasn't a rich guy, but she like she comes out, she's got a towel wrapped around her.
Super stud Chad Mitch over here saying what's in Harry Belafonte's
Like,
league and what
this is
isn't.
the kind of babe I could pull, but not Belafonte. She's wearing a towel. She's got some kind of towel.
And
sexy.
Travolta's just kind of
She
like
pulls her towel off. He gets a good look, Costanza.
big time.
He's staring too hard.
and he's looking for way too long. Like
Why didn't he have his eyes averted?
A black woman. Not too bad.
I'm not supposed to see nothing like that. He shouldn't have. He should have walked to the servant's door. He shouldn't have been his eyes roaming around like that. It's not right.
And Thaddeus, that's Harry Belafonte's character is Thaddeus Thomas.
Thaddeus Thomas.
Oh.
Heretofore, I will refer to him as Thomas.
Man, that is a strong name. That's authoritative.
Yeah, or Thad, he calls him sometimes too.
Yeah, and then John Travolta's Louis Pinnock.
Yes.
Yeah, that name, I don't know if that
So
exists.
lame.
Lou and Thomas. Yeah, Harry Belafonte clocks him looking at his wife, and the white servant kindly redirects him to the other side of the house. She pops out. She's like, well, you're in the wrong place. Come on over here, right?
Hey, you're staring at the madam's décolletage.
Yeah. How do we say this like you white people might understand? Butthole.
Is that wrong? I didn't know that would be wrong to look at that when I saw a butthole in the window there.
Hey.
So John Travolta goes and drops the letter off, and then he's driving home, and he's kind of driving through a, not the best neighborhood. There's a bunch of poor people stereotypes everywhere with the dumpster fires and the cans and the people in the streets, and there's
Crackheads.
litter everywhere, and you get the picture. This is it's not a nice place to live.
Crazy people.
Sex workers.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
party.
and they're all white people.
As far as the eye can see.
so weird.
I don't get it. I don't get like that's not what the world is like. I don't
It's a
see
little
white
weird.
people.
I mean, I don't know. Up here in Canada, rough neighborhoods are pretty mixed.
yeah.
This is something I was talking about with you guys where I just came back from the States again, and it's like over there, their neighborhoods are so segregated. And in my neighborhood, I live in a rough neighborhood. We've got black people, we've got brown people, we have white people. They're all on hard times together.
Yeah.
It's a real utopia.
Powerful highs, powerful lows. Everybody feels it at the same time.
And that's why they say Canada is a melting pot. Oh, no, wait. Canada is a
mosaic.
cultural
We're a
mosaic.
cultural mosaic.
Yeah, because, we all... Wow, melting pot would be better for this analogy.
I always thought that analogy was stupid.
Yeah, actually, Canada's a melting pot.
A thing that I've noticed that we'll notice throughout this movie is like the street punks in most movies around this time, they're listening to rap music. But in this movie,
Yes.
they're all listening to punk music.
Whoever thought of that was just like patting themselves on the back
Yeah.
so fucking hard they just couldn't.
Fuck yeah, get it.
The bad guys in this neighborhood are like skinhead gangs instead of like whatever Crips or Bloods or anything like that. And yeah, they're listening to your typical hardcore 80s, 90s music.
And the neighbors are loudly blasting that fucking goddamned rock
It was a
music.
few years later, it might have been Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, it's hard rock.
Yeah.
It's not new metal yet because new metal hadn't been invented yet, and also that's too black. Well, the whole thing was they took hip hop riffs and beats.
Sweet.
We see John Travolta's kid, and he's channel surfing, going through all the channels, and there's black people on every channel.
Like, all the advertisements are all black people. This is one thing that's kind of evened out a little bit these days, where you'll see more diversity and inclusion in advertising and stuff.
Yeah,
but
you sound like my dad being like, "Why do I
we
gotta
have
turn on the
this."
TV and
Yeah.
see two gay black dads selling
right,
me
that-
insurance?"
That's why I don't drink Bud Light anymore. I'm assuming, like, in the mid 90s when this came out, it was probably just like all white people all the time in every advertisement.
100% it
Yeah.
was. 100% it was.
It's an accurate portrayal of what, if you flipped it around, it would be like that. I don't think they really dialed it up too much in that regard.
John Travolta comes home and he sees this kid. And he's, "I'm coming to get you, boy. Who am I?" And he goes, "Chroma Man." That's right. And don't you ever forget it.
Yo, my man. Who's my man? Who's my boy?
And I'm like, uh-oh, we got another cool dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael Keaton.
What you
part
doing today,
2.
boy?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to see my harmonica? He pulls out his harmonica, plays a little song, plays a little Christmas tune for him. He's a great dad.
This harmonica was given to me by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
So unlike Jack Frost, this white guy never drops the black scent. This is insane.
I'd say that he's a better father than Jack Frost, though, too.
Yeah.
He gives a shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's trying and he's struggling in a world that is absolutely has the chip stacked against him.
Yeah.
His son's like, why do you talk like that, Daddy? And he's like, I don't know, man.
I gotta talk like I'm in the hood, you see?
Grandma and Grandpa don't talk like that. Well, even Grandma and Grandpa are kind of silly, you know what I mean?
You're not a cool cat like me. So his wife comes in. And
It's funny, we sound too much like Travolta and not enough like Travolta being black, but it's hard to...
I might need to actually pause it just to hear Travolta being black for a minute.
I got
just
a
to
couple
get
of
it.
his quotes that I wrote up phonetically, but it's not till later. But that'll kind of help. Try and get out, motherfucker, trying.
So his wife comes in. It's Kelly Lynch. She's very attractive. Yeah, and they're basically presented as very poor. Working class.
Yeah.
It's a rough
And you know
part
what?
of town.
They got bills to pay. They're stacking up, and
They can't pay the rent.
they can't pay the rent. And she's like, "How about I get a job?" And
Yeah.
this is the thing that Pinnock has to struggle through the entire time. Is it's his pride. His
Yeah.
pride won't let him.
No wife of mine will be working.
Yeah.
This is another like anachronistic thing where it's
He
like
need-
these days, like a dual income family is basically the norm. It's weird that he is so prideful that he doesn't want to allow his wife to work, even though they
Whereas,
can't.
I'm like, if my wife isn't working, I'm in the bread line.
They're gonna get
That's the
evicted.
way my life works if we don't have two of us working.
Like, right? Like, you and I have good jobs.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way we could live.
They're literally about to get evicted. They're like his wife is like, "Hey, we got our final notice for a rent eviction. And, like, I love you and everything, and you're such a cool dad, but we got to get a job." It's unfairly kind of laid on his shoulders a few times. Where
Yeah.
he's trying.
She gets mad that he came home late because he was dropping off a letter for his boss for
Saying
free.
I'm not a man? I'm not a man.
I work hard every day.
I'm a cot. I put food on my family's table.
He's doing it. He's going to the job boards and everything, and
He hasn't lost his job yet. We cut to another party at Thaddeus's, which is very important because we get to see that every time before Thad is kidnapped, all he's doing is just laughing boisterously with his rich friends and talking about how dumb white people are. It's so funny.
except for his servants who, like, his house servants, his house white people.
They're one of the good ones. And so, like, at this party, he tells his buddy who's running the factory, he's like, "Oh, who is that man who came by today? Next time, send somebody else." At the next day at the factory, Travolta gets let go.
It's a weird game of telephone because all Harry Belafonte says says is, I don't want him delivering packages here anymore because he suspects he peeped on his wife. The echo effect kind of leads to Travolta being fired because Belafonte's subordinate is like, okay, well, that means get rid of this guy.
It's all one
Yeah,
big
he goes,
misunderstanding.
that delivery was you? Look, I don't think things are going to work out here. And,
Yeah.
Whoa. You're firing me?
I'm just trying to hear begging for a job, and you're gonna fire me?
Is it my attitude? Is it me asking for promotions? It's too uppity?
He really puts some English on the uppity.
Yeah.
Too uppity? Like, he's
Yeah.
really hammering home on that one.
And he was expecting a promotion.
Yeah,
in this scene.
he's in here. He's trying to ask for a job, saying that he's a hard worker, and
Like, I should be the supervisor.
yeah, it's like, oh, you delivered the letter. This is embarrassing. You're fired.
You're outta here.
Why don't you take your white ass out of here and never
In my
come back?
opinion, though, he was peeping. I think he deserves to be fired. I think he was peeping. He's guilty of the crime.
I think he was
I'd have
mostly
peeked
looking at
and
how
I'd
big-
have served the time.
I mean, a red-blooded man's going to take a little peek.
he should take it as a compliment.
I am a red-blooded man.
His wife's got a premium rack. Why doesn't he take it as a compliment?
It's primo.
Oh, she's got a dump truck ass. I can't do the black accent the way John Travolta does it.
Nobody
it sounds
can.
So
Me
easy.
either.
At least not in the John Travolta voice.
I just go into Welcome Back Kotter, John Travolta voice, like a teen Italian high school kid. Like, oh, Mr. Kotter, I don't
Oh,
know.
Mr. Carter. Well, John Travolta's always had like a little bit of a spin on his voice or something like that. And he just kind of dials it up and
A New York thing
Is it?
happening
Yeah.
in there somewhere. Like,
He's a little bit of a flamboyant man.
oh yeah,
I'm not saying he's gay, but
he's at least bisexual.
welcome to Hollywood.
welcome to Hollywood, sweetheart. Put your mouth over this hole in the wall.
You'll learn.
What? I don't understand. Oh, now I understand.
I'm gonna like it here.
I guess I was wearing the wrong color handkerchief.
What'd you think you were
right
gonna-
one.
What'd you think you were going to be in a Farrelly brother movie?
Oh, you got some hair gel coming from your ear. Let me put some of that in there.
New guy, Nakano. He's directing a new movie. I gotta be in Nakano's.
So he's having drinks with a Nakano, okay? All right, and I think he's great. I think he's going to be the next me, okay? So I think you should really do this movie, Johnny.
Lawrence Bender's doing it.
Look, I put Larry on the case, all right? I'll try to get some feet in there.
I wonder if Quentin Tarantino had anything to say to his buddy John about this movie. Did he tell him to do it?
He did. I think he talked a lot of people into working on it. Because, like, it's not just Lawrence Bender, it's not just John Travolta, but, like, a bunch of, like, other crew and some other cast members also from Pulp Fiction worked on it. So it's like,
Interesting.
there's a lot of cross-pollination there. Quentin Tarantino taught us that it's okay for a white person to say the N-word, so
Yeah.
he probably thought this is a really important movie.
And you know,
Well, Quentin Tarantino's the original guy's like, I'm blacker than you are.
yeah,
I can say the N-word.
he's Tony Lip.
I know Little Richard. I know Aretha Franklin, okay? All right?
We have him to thank.
I gave myself the N-word pass. I just cast myself in a movie and wrote the lines for myself to say the N-word a whole bunch of
What do
times.
you want me to say? That's what the lines that are written down. So Pinnock is on the bum.
He goes to Thad Thomas's estate and he begs to talk to him. He's turned away. That's the key scene in the movie. He goes to the unemployment office and
Ain't no new jobs here. Find me one decent job that's here. That's there.
I'm just used to taking care of my own.
I don't want no handout.
There's an uppity black woman working the counter. Name.
What did you just say?
He's not getting the.
The black people aren't uppity in this one. It's the
They're very matter of fact.
uppity
The
is
white
for
folks
the-
are uppity.
yeah.
See, they flipped it around. It's not
Uppity's
like
for the underdog.
it's not like real life. It's the opposite of real life.
John Travolta's being very uppity to this black woman, and I don't like it.
He's
No,
speaking at a turn. He should not try to rise above his station.
Yeah, and it's all just part-time jobs, minimum wage jobs, nothing that you can feed a family on. And he decides to go and talk to Thaddeus himself.
try to get his job back. It's dumb.
Yeah, his servants turn him away. And so later that night, his truck breaks down and he gets out and he takes a sit on the curb and he's all pissed off and at his wit's end, like understandably so.
He's had a rough day.
Yeah.
His wife's
Cops.
no one's making it any easier on him. She's like, well, when are you going to bring home the bacon? When are you going to get another job?
He's also
loser?
refusing to let her work, though. So throughout this movie, he makes a bunch of decisions that just make his situation worse.
Yeah, but her prospects aren't great either.
Easer.
Her prospect.
He's basically spiraling into homelessness. Like,
Yeah.
one setback after another that's leading him and to the point where they lose their home because they can't pay the rent anymore. So his wife has to move in with the mother-in-law who doesn't want him around. So he has to, like, I think he's living out of his car at a certain point. And
You know, and in the 90s, this seemed really far-fetched. I'm just going to come out and say this. Like, I think it was Cat Williams, but he had a really good special. And it was around the time of the financial crisis. And he's like, how you guys like it? We all N-words now. A really memorable line from it. We're fucked.
Yeah, we're really just...
And nowadays, like, it's quaint to look upon the 1990s where things were about as good as they've ever been in the capitalistic world.
Yeah.
Versus now, where it's like
that was the
there's
peak.
no hope for anybody. It
We're
doesn't
all like a
matter
couple
what color
paychecks
your
away
skin
from-
is. Yeah,
kidnapping our factory owner and... like,
exactly.
That was the
Exactly.
apex.
That's
Yeah.
why this like super duper far-fetched movie just doesn't feel as fucking subversive and far-fetched as it should have. It doesn't have the impact that it should.
It's actually so much worse now.
We invented this thing called the internet. Man, there's so much potential here. Now we're like, oh, our society is, everything's being destroyed by this. It's literally destroying people's brains. Okay.
John Travolta, Louis Pinnock gets fired from his job, and he can actually drive to his boss's house and ask to get his job back. Most people can't do that now because their boss lives who the fuck knows where, and like you try to like get a hold of like.
I only know a couple boss levels above me. I don't know the high enough level I would need to go to argue for my job back.
Oh, I know where my boss lives,
Yeah, but like if you get fired
and
from the
I'm
Hershey,
letting him know
Big
put him on
mistake.
notice.
on this podcast.
I'm gonna kidnap you.
Give him the Rob Reiner treatment.
We're like almost halfway through. Just to timestamp this episode, we're almost halfway through June, which is Pride Month.
Juneteenth.
I saw an email from HR today, and it was like a Pride Month email, and it was like, we are an inclusive company that's dedicated to Pride things. I was like, never in my life have I seen this with my company. This is fucking weird. They're like, gotta post this up. All the managers post this up around the office and the lunchrooms where everybody can see it. And I was like, this is a different world we live in, where like I work now in a company where the people who run the show don't know our names or our faces, and they're in a completely different place, but they want us to know that we
They
love
care.
you. We care about you.
It's an inclusive company.
It's a much more dystopian place we're in now.
Then you opened the attachment on the email, and it was a rock hard penis helicoptering.
I'm not triggered by, just to be clear, I'm not triggered by the
It's
fucking
moving right along.
rainbow flag that they want us to put up in it. I'm triggered by the fact that it wasn't there to begin
Well,
with.
why'd you make us watch all those movies if you lighted them on fire and jumping on them?
I mean, there's gay people at my company that I've worked with now for 20 plus years.
Despite your protestations.
I don't know if I'm getting my point across here well, guys. Oh, we're all gay people now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Welcome to Pride Month.
We're all gay. On the High and Low podcast. And if you don't like it, too bad.
Go suck on somebody's genitals that are the same as yours. just for this month.
Yeah.
If you're not gay, you will be rounded up. You'll be reported.
That's what
right.
Trudeau wants. That's his agenda.
You'll
I don't know if you knew. We'll send you to an education camp. Just a bunch of dildos at a desk with people learning how to deep throat.
I, for
What
one,
flavor did you get? I got Laurentian Elite.
I would love to be sent to such a camp because I'm all for that stuff.
Okay, so
There's these cops who come up.
yeah, Lou's truck breaks down. He's on the curb. Cops come out, guns drawn. They rough him up. They check his ID. They're like, oh, you match the description of somebody doing robberies. Lou's kind of pushing back. You know,
White
he's
guy,
not
about
bad.
6'2", blue eyes. Yeah.
Oh, you look like that. You're a white guy.
It's sort of a realistic escalation in this scene
Yeah.
because the cops unfairly give him the cop act, pull him out of his car, but then they do apologize to him and they're like, "Sorry, sir, we had the wrong guy. You matched a description," but he kind of escalates and they kind of escalates and you're like, oh, I can see how a person could just get shot in the street or something.
Yeah.
Makes the cops these are the most relatable cops.
This
look like
movie
good guys.
really connected those wires for you.
So by now there's a crowd forming and they're not happy about it. So they're kind of like getting to be a little aggressive and like a kind of openly hostile, and the cops are fearful, so they start kind of getting a little itchy with their trigger fingers. And
Yeah.
so after they've kind of like said, okay, you can go about your business, then somebody throws a bottle and it breaks, and then the cops just they're done and they just start kicking the shit out of
Big
out of
mistake.
Pinnock.
Yeah, the pigs didn't like that. Then they fucking take off.
They
This
seriously
one guy's
beat
like,
him.
we all look like ghosts to them. They think we're ghosts out here in the dark. They don't like us crackers.
They can't
When we
see
scare
us.
them in the dark.
yeah,
This
that
is
was
like
clever.
a homeless guy who will become John Travolta's roommate going forward. I guess they're kind of buddy after this.
Oh, I didn't notice that was the
I-
same guy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was the same guy either.
John Travolta looks like he's like totally beaten up. He's oozing blood from the face and everything, and he just looks like a bag of shit at this point. He's probably scaring his family and everything, but he's gonna live with this homeless guy going forward.
Going forward.
It's a good arrangement.
Yeah.
Good
And
arrangement. I'll live with them.
Yeah.
meanwhile, back at Thad's place, his wife's being like, oh, you work too much. You work too much. You got to go see like my fashion show. He's a workaholic. He's an absentee father. He's all this. And they're about to get to fucking because she kind of mentioned something about like, oh, like I'm feeling happy enough to give you another heart attack or something like that. And
She mentions you should have been at the rehearsal today. There must have been 50 white kids all ready to rout. They were so adorable.
she does like little white kid charity shows or something like that.
for the inner city
funny.
kids.
Yeah.
And she's like, goes, some of them were a little bit undisciplined, though. And that's when he goes, well, what do you expect? They don't have any fathers.
There's almost an exact scene like this in Mississippi Burning where they're talking about black kids and they're like, I saw such cute little black kids playing around. And one of the racist sheriffs is like, yeah, shame they grow up to be criminals or whatever. It's that sentiment that's being translated here.
Yeah.
Poignant.
Such cute little white children playing and
Yeah.
Poignant.
But as
we
we'll
really
see-
should nuke all the white children.
yeah, it's a shame they grow up to be podcast hosts.
So the Pinnocks, they need money for the landlord or they're going to get evicted. It causes a fight, and we see how this contrasts with the Thomas family's idyllic, totally worry-free relationship.
They have no financial stress.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much financial stress just tanks your entire life. They're basically living in paradise, Harry Belafonte. There's a plot point going on here where he's got like some big deal that he's trying to connect through all this. You'll see him like talking on the cell phone and stuff, and it becomes an issue as things go along, and he gets more involved with John Travolta.
I know it's the 90s, but it's great restraint that the big deal is not with the Japanese.
No.
Because there are only two races in this world. Yeah, so they have a fight, and then the next morning, who's banging on their door but the county sheriff, there and ready to serve an eviction notice.
And there's the so nice liberal black landlord.
It's an interesting
Fucking
scenario.
scum fuck landlord.
Well, I can't let you live here for free.
I can't
Yeah.
keep letting you take advantage of me like this and all my properties.
I gotta just stand here and watch these policemen beat you and your family up and kick you out.
Yeah, and fucking throw your baby out on the street.
There's two black cops, one white cop, and the landlord's black.
John Travolta's not having it. He's going, that's my baby. That's my child.
Don't throw my child out in the street like that.
That's my child.
My child.
But I paid you. I paid you already, man. The money. Check the accounts.
They tell them they have 5 minutes to gather their stuff and leave.
Yeah, they each get 5 minutes. One person's gonna go pack up, the other person's gonna go pack up, and this one sheriff's being a real hard ass about it. And Kelly Lynch puts her foot down.
Yeah, she has her Doc Shirley moment where she is standing up for her dignity, where she's
Finally, someone stands up for white people.
yeah, exactly.
waiting.
But it's kind of a cuck moment for John Travolta because she has to go to the washroom and she's like, the cops don't want to let her go to the washroom. They want a guy to stand outside and she has to change into clothes that are approved by them or something. There's an affront to her dignity happening. And John Travolta's like, man, just let the cops do what they want. And,
Babe, just get in trust in front of them.
but she kind of like stands up for herself, and then she kind of gives a dirty look to John Travolta for not standing up to the cops, where she's like, you're a little bit lesser of a man in my eyes right now.
But she talks him down. She gets her family 15 minutes to gather all their belongings. They don't need to be demeaned in front of the police. They can do it
Yeah.
behind closed doors a little bit. And
Totally reasonable request on her part.
100%.
She's like, can I take a shit in private?
So reluctantly, the cops comply. Marcia, her mama, comes. Oh, well, your mama's coming here.
Her mama doesn't like.
She doesn't much like him. You can't come, Lou. What kind of man can't take care of his own?
You're not a man. Where's your pride, Lou?
Yeah.
He's a bum.
John Travolta has to say goodbye to his son. I'm sorry, Donnie. I need you to take care of your mama and your mama's mama.
Things get cool between them a little bit. The kid's not impressed by his shtick anymore. He's not like a Michael Keaton's kid in Jack Frost. He's not like
He's a
pretty
disenfranchised
sad,
child.
man.
Yeah, he has to go.
It's pretty sad.
It's a pretty hard shit. He just got kicked out of his place.
man.
He's got to go live with
Yeah.
grandma. His dad's not living with him anymore.
everybody's
Dad's a
saying,
homeless bum.
Yeah. Grandma's saying dad's a loser.
I'll make it right with you, Donnie.
Be my son again one day.
I'll get you all the action figures, all the white action figures. I can't afford the black ones.
So we get a montage now of Lou driving around
And
He's
walking up
looking
train
for
tracks,
work.
just like doing the things you do when you're like feeling a bit bummed out.
when
Going to
you're a
the-
divorced dad and you're looking sad. Howard Shore's jazzy, bluesy score just going crazy.
He really fused two genres for the soundtrack.
Yeah, combination jazz and blues. I call it Jews.
Oh, that'll take off. Pinnock's had enough. He's at one point in that montage too is really funny. He just starts beating up his truck. So he's kicked enough tires that he decides he needs to take matters into his own hands, and so he
Yeah.
hides in Thad's bushes.
It's the ultimate plan. It's the greatest heist plan ever. He wants to kidnap Thaddeus.
He just wants the money that's owed him.
He just kind of like hangs out on the side of the road while Thaddeus drives by him, right? And then he's just like kind of walks up to his car and he's like, "Hey, you're kidnapped now. Hey."
If he was owed money, I think that's a fair thing to do.
I think it's a fair thing to do whether he's owed money or not.
No court in the land would convict him.
I don't know if he's owed money or if he just thinks that he's owed money or what. Like basically,
Yeah, it's unclear.
yeah, he just wants enough money to like pay some rent.
Yeah, this isn't like a David Fincher movie. There's no precision to any of the movie's scenes. They all kind of go in like a non sequitur manner. There's
It's pretty
no
inevitable.
world building. It's just like really a clumsily made picture.
From the start, there's no plan here. Like
He just expects that he expects Thaddeus to have like a big wad of cash that he
Yeah.
can just pay him the $2,000 or whatever he wants.
And then it's like, and then what happens? Like, is Thaddeus not going to call the cops on you? This doesn't occur to John Travolta
Not until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like there's nowhere for this situation to go except for a horrible crime on your part or something.
Travolta like pulls a gun. He gets into the car and basically has Thaddeus drive to a bank, to a drive-through bank. And here we get an uppity white teller who's just all
Uppity. Again, with that word.
Used in its proper context.
No, in the context on a white person.
He's so happy to be able to close the line on this black person.
basically Thaddeus. He's pulling a major Karen. He's like, let me talk to the.
Yeah, he Karen's out big time.
Yeah, he doesn't even. He's like, let me talk to the manager. Like, well, I'm the manager of the window. Let me talk to the vice president of this bank.
You get me the goddamn president of this bank.
The white person's uppity, but what's the opposite of uppity is
Do you have
probably
to say it with such a hard P, Mitchell?
Downity.
I think highfalutin. You know, Harry Belafonte is being very highfalutin to this uppity white person. It's just never going to work. It's never going to work out when a highfalutin meets uppity.
No, what you need is a Tony Lip in between to kind of tell everybody what what's
grease
going
the
on.
wheels.
Oh man, if we have Tony Lip in every situation, he'd
Yeah.
just make it better.
He would solve this movie.
I really feel like we just need him in everything now.
I know Tony Lip's going to live in my heart forever.
He'd get John
I
Travolta's
wish I had
job
him in
back.
my marriage.
I'm just happy I've got him in Sopranos. I can
Okay,
watch
sometimes Luke just has to eat 40 hot dogs. It's okay. Just listen to what Tony Lip would do in a situation like that.
him. Yeah.
Now she understands.
You want $50, don't you? Man, you could still eat 50 hot dogs for. You couldn't eat 50 hot dogs for $50. It's just not doable these days. Inflation.
Man, you can't even buy 50 hot dogs for
No.
$50 nowadays.
No.
Costco's hot dogs are still like $1 something though, because that's a loss leader for them. But it's still going to be more than $50 to eat 50.
How
of
many hot dogs can we eat to make Costco go under? That would be great.
The
You just
greatest
see
class
people
act.
coming in through the tills as you're at the back eating fucking hot dogs, being like, please stop.
It has
Please
to be
stop. You're
doable.
giving them more money.
Yeah. Like, didn't Red Lobster just went bankrupt for their endless shrimp deals? Like,
Well,
there's got to
come on,
be.
There's only so much shrimp.
I don't think it was just the endless shrimp that made them go bankrupt.
No, apparently there was some shady stuff happening
Yeah.
around the scenes there.
What about
Hey,
around the seas?
what's a few 100,000 shrimp between friends?
I could eat that in a sitting. Easy.
It's just like I've been to Mitchell's place for dinner. It's like a fucking dive tank just filled with krill
Yeah.
and shrimp. It
mean-
just goes swimming through.
I wouldn't. I'm not saying I would survive or that I would feel good the next day or anything, but I could eat that in a sitting.
What's those thing that whales have that
Baleen.
Oh,
is that like Mitchell? He just like dives into a bathtub.
I could eat 30,000 tons of krill a day. I have a primitive digestive organ.
I just shake these packets into Mitchell's bathtub.
Sea monkeys.
Mitchell survives on krill and sea monkeys. Okay,
You know, cook food. It takes all the flavor out.
so they need to wait till Monday till the bank opens to get the money. And Travolta basically decides that he's just going to kidnap Thaddeus a bit more. He takes him to his truck and like, get in the fucking truck.
It's becoming an overnight thing.
Yeah,
Get in the fucking goddamn truck.
the fuck
right now.
truck. We did now.
Right now.
Yeah, they ditch his Rolls Royce just outside his house.
Yeah, in the most obvious place. Like, this guy's a fucking moron.
Yeah,
He's got a couple things going for him. He's got like it's almost like Furiosa's truck in Mad Max Fury Road, where he like knows all the tricks to this truck that he's got Harry Belafonte in, where it's like, you can't get out through this door because I kicked this door so it doesn't work anymore. And he's like, I've got a kill switch here. Like,
door's broken. There's only two ways out this truck: front window or over my ass.
he knew he couldn't trust Belafonte.
They cruising through the hood. This used to be a good neighborhood. I ain't no fucking peeping Tom. I don't peep at people. You fucking playing with me?
Oh, you're the delivery boy. All them years at the factory, all that time I put in, and I'm the delivery boy. You feel for him.
Yeah, but why would Harry Belafonte know you?
Honestly,
John
yeah,
Travolta?
like there's hundreds of people who work for him.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't understand how it
He
works.
doesn't work.
Harry
he-
Belafonte, he said to the guy, next time send another delivery person. He didn't want to say boy, because boy is derogative,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's racist against white people.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't tell him to fire you. And you a fucking liar. You a fucking liar.
How come he said you fired me then?
You telling me you caught me standing at your wife's rack and you didn't tell him to fire me? You're a liar. After a bit of straightening out, Thaddeus agrees to help him out. He's like, I'll give you the money. But Pinnock doesn't believe.
I mean, it's all big crock. Like, he can't help this guy out. What is he gonna? He's gonna give him $1 million. He's gonna give him his job back. Like, any way you cut it, the next step is gonna be him just placing a call to the cops and being like, "Hey, this guy just held me up."
Well,
And
the cops are now aware of the situation because they found his abandoned Rolls Royce. Belafonte's wife, Megan, gets a call, and basically she knows that her husband's missing. She's all worried about it. So now they need to kind of stay on the run from the cops.
in the
and
middle
stay
of
hidden.
the big fashion show.
It's just like him to get kidnapped right in the middle of a big fashion show. This guy's full of
Yeah.
excuses.
Where is Belafonte? He was supposed to be at the big fashion show. He was distracted by his business calls, but he said he would be here.
Now they take him to Stanley's place. Here's Stanley again. He's the guy that we met outside when Travolta was being beaten up by the cops, brutalized by the police.
Yeah, they're living in like the house from Fight Club, like just an abandoned like slum.
It's got everything they need. I don't know. It's a nice.
It
it's a
seems
nice
to have
place.
power and stuff. The windows are boarded up.
Nice
Yeah.
to have some privacy.
It looks like they're squatters, pretty much. I'm pretty sure they're not paying rent on this place. Like there are a couple of homeless squatters in here right now. It seems like.
Here they kind of like discuss a little bit more, and they find out that maybe neither of them can actually wait till Monday. Thaddeus has a very important meeting, and Travolta has his son's birthday the next day.
Yeah.
On the Saturday.
Drama, time-sensitive matters to attend to during this hostage situation.
Yeah, and both of those things really play into the rest. Neither of them really play into the rest of the movie much at all. It really is kind of like a half-baked Three's Company plot line that kind of comes up to kind
Doesn't matter at all.
No.
So yeah, Thomas's family are at some fashion show with all these black models. Then we see them trot
yeah.
out the inner city children for the benefit. That's all these
Yeah.
white kids. And
That reminded me of
Oh.
Heathers. Like, you remember the scene at the beginning of Heathers in the cafeteria where there's like the rich white girls having like a Save the Kids in Africa little charity event there. And
Yeah.
the joke is how like clueless they are or whatever. It's sort of like that. They trot out a bunch of white kids here, impoverished inner city white kids, and all the proceeds from this fashion show will be going to give these kids a meal, a hot meal.
yeah, hepatitis shot or whatever.
Yeah. Whatever they need.
You can all feel really good about yourselves.
We're going to have all these children euthanized.
That's when the police contact Thomas's wife because his abandoned car was found.
In his driveway. Pretty
Fucking
much.
very close to home. Thomas and Lou, they go to a hamburger stand.
There's a lot of different like greasy spoon stands they
How's
go
it
to.
feel, huh? Me having power over you like you had over me.
This ain't the Ritz Carlton.
That's
Is this where the skinheads show up?
yeah.
Like,
There's
the
some white
skinhead gang?
teenagers, real rough. They've got like hard rock music playing. It's like Megadeth or something.
Travolta's like, the cops don't come to this block. This is these guys' block. This ain't the
It's-
cops' block.
It's so funny how he's like immediately emasculated right after he like throws that barb at Thad. Then all the
Yeah.
skinheads roll up and they're immediately like just
Like,
big
al-
dogging him and like
Also, these guys could kill me. I know I was just like making this a
go,
point
let's go,
against you, but
Did you notice how one of the scary thugs was noted scary, intense, scary thug Seth Green?
I was trying to figure out which one.
shit.
I knew that he was one of them, but I couldn't.
He was
I
the one
did
with
not
the
know that.
bandana on his head.
yeah, that was the one that scared me the most. Actually,
4'9" Seth Green, the most intimidating man in Hollywood.
Yeah, like the hot dog stand owner is like, you guys can't play this music there. And fuck you, we'll play our music however we want. Now bring us our hot dogs.
Yeah, he's like, used to be a good neighborhood. We used to have good folks here, and we used to have families here. And
they got Jimmy Stewart to do the hot dog stand guy.
People will calmly get their hamburgers and pickles.
This was a community.
the gangbangers are throwing homophobic insults at them. They're like, oh, which one of you is the wife, huh? Which one of you is the wife? And they start chasing them away, and they go to jump them, and the hamburger stand owner pulls a shotty out.
Both these movies have like
It's pretty intense.
shop owners, like restaurant owners or whatever, who pull shotguns
Yeah.
out on their patrons.
Yeah.
They're just, they don't want stuff going down on their watch.
Yeah, except in this one, the hamburger stand owner, who is white, by the way, he fucking blows Seth Green away.
It was
He
nuts.
fucking
He had it
blasts him
coming.
in the chest.
Like Seth Green pulls a gun, right? And so this guy has no choice. He's just got to waste Seth Green.
He's
It's
Waste some good.
righteous kill. He was standing his ground,
something we've all imagined once or twice.
blowing Seth Green away with a shotgun.
So everyone bounces. They go back to Stanley's, and this is when he's starting to have a heart-to-heart with Harry Belafonte there. I used to have pride in the fact that when my son was born, there was never a night when I wasn't home before this shit happened.
I can't remember the last time I saw my children.
He's starting to listen.
He's definitely starting to see him as more of a person.
They're bonding.
Lou goes to see his family. He picks up Donnie, his older son, and it's Donnie's birthday. And there's Harry Belafonte in the back seat of his truck.
This is the whole weird scenario.
It's weird. And Travolta's like, don't you dare fucking move. I'll fucking blow you. I'll fucking waste you in front of my kid. I don't even care.
And Harry Belafonte's got his hands bound at this point. Like, I think Travolta's got him in the truck with his hands bound with, like, maybe a blanket over his hands or something. And he's like, we're just going to act like this is a good birthday party for my son. We're going to go pick him up. We're going to go to the store and shop for him. And you're just going to sit there and with your hands bound and act normal.
So they take him.
The kid's like, hey, Dad, I didn't know you know any black people. Yeah, they take him to a toy store, and some crackhead immediately comes up and asks the kid for change after he gives the kid, like, whatever, $10 to go buy a toy.
Travolta gives him a $20 bill, and he's like, you go to the toy store all on your own because you're a big boy now, and I'll wait out here by the car. You just see in the background the crackhead sidling up. Like, hey, you got a $20 bill?
Well, that's like my neighborhood.
That's...
I'll be playing in the park with my kid, and there'll be kids coming up and asking him for change. He's like a 3-year-old. He's like, no, you're a stranger. I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
He's able to avoid the crackhead, and he gets into the store. And of course, he wants like the big black action hero. Like, there's like one action figure. All the other ones are white. And
it's a relatable thing where all like the main characters in your pop culture are of a certain race, and
and so all the black ones are also more expensive, and he doesn't have enough money to buy one. So Harry Belafonte, he's like, you can have some of my money, and Travolta's
Lou's
too
like,
proud.
get the white one. Get the white one.
Get the white guy.
And Travolta does it in a way to, again,
Where's the fucking money?
Like, save his dignity. Like, he leans in and, like, stealthily takes the money out of Harry Belafonte's shirt pocket, and then he's like, oh, I found actually an extra $20 bill.
He crumples it up first and puts it in his pocket. He's like, oh, look what I found.
I had this all along. I don't know. You can buy your
Hey, maybe I could have paid my rent after all. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty,
It worked
pretty
for me.
gutting. Yeah, no, it worked for me.
Yeah, on a few levels. Like, there's a few things in this movie that, like, you do feel really bad for Travolta.
Well, this might have been one of the few scenes that actually made me reflect on certain things where it's like all of pop culture has been catered towards me. Yeah, Batman's white. Yeah, it's easy to see as a black kid growing up.
Now all of a sudden, hearing all those stories about all those...
This movie converted me. This movie...
Hearing stories about, like, kids crying when they go see Black Panther, like, you know, kind of puts things like that into
finally
perspective.
seeing some representation.
Yeah, too bad that movie kind of sucked.
It's like, oh, there wasn't enough
Kind of like
white
a
people.
middle of the pack Marvel movie, but if you look at any internet list, it's number 1. So what do I know?
It was nominated for Best Picture at the
Against Green
91st
Book.
Academy Awards.
Green Book.
More
A
relatable.
classic for our times. I'd say Black Panther's better than Green Book.
Yeah.
Neither of them deserve Best Picture.
I think Killmonger should have chauffeured Black Panther through the Deep South, going from piano bar to piano bar. Black Panther, his suit's so sophisticated he can play the piano really good. That's my kind of movie.
So Thaddeus needs to take a little pee.
And they pull over at some shithole gas station. And the grown-ups are in the bathroom. The cops pull up to buy a pop while Donnie plays outside. Donnie's just outside. The cops are using the pop machine.
A real close call that a director with a bit more skill could have made a lot more
Yes.
tense. Nothing really
Yes.
happened with this. It was just kind of as a thing that you're aware of, but
He's bonding with the kid a little bit, Harry Belafonte. Travolta's kid is explaining that there's a black hero called Black Hawk. And then at a certain point, Harry Belafonte is saying, Black Hawk needs to pee.
my favorite superhero is Black Hawk.
Black Hawk, explain to me
your
his
Black
power.
Hawk.
My wife loves to play with my Black Hawk superhero.
Black Hawk has to pee right now. Harry Belafonte could have kind of ran out and maybe alerted the cops
That would have been his
he was
chance.
there.
And they're having like this kind of conversation where at first Harry Belafonte's like sort of on his side, but then he's like, "Well, you don't strike me as the criminal type." And Travolta's like, "Well, I don't got to be a criminal. This is a circumstance."
Maybe criminals aren't so different from you and I.
We're all just a paycheck away from being a criminal.
Oh, I'm a criminal. There's a criminal on this podcast right now.
So they have the back and forth. And by the time they come out of the bathroom, the cops have gone. Glad there was nothing that happened there that could have been exciting.
Yeah, so they go for burgers and fries again. Because it's cheap.
That's all we
At
got
night.
in this neighborhood. We live in a food desert.
That's when they really start bonding, and Lou explains why he salts the ketchup. Show how much salt goes on the French fries.
French fry.
I don't know about you guys, but I fully intend to try that.
I've
try it.
never done that.
John Travolta's whole thing is he puts his salt on the ketchup and then dips the fry into the salty
Yeah,
ketchup.
you put the salt on the fries, it just runs off.
It's an amazing technique. Maybe you are good for something after all, Travolta. Dang.
Maybe you're one of the good ones.
And that's when Lou tells him he may not be able to let him go, which is a stupid fucking thing to say.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to let you live
wanna-
after this, even if it all goes good for me.
And you get the impression.
Please don't run away. I'm going to walk around
I'm
the
going to get
corner
another
now.
sody pop. Do you want another sody pop?
It seems like he's coming to this realization in real time where he's just like, oh, yeah, I fucked up big. I'm going to have to kill this guy. There's no possible way I can let him go. It's just dawning on him for the first time.
Yeah. So naturally, he goes around the corner and Thomas takes off. Thomas goes and he breaks into some white family's house to use the phone.
He has to smash the window. It's a little weird because he has to act like a white criminal.
He's a
now.
criminal all
He
of a
has to
sudden.
smash a window to get into this house to try to save his
His
life.
shoe's on the other foot now.
It's the other side of the coin.
Just breaked and entered.
And make you throw a lamp at somebody's head.
This escalates horribly.
So there's a little white girl who starts screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, kind of reminded me of Barry. That scene in Barry where he breaks into a house and has to fight a little white girl.
Yeah, this girl didn't know karate. Or
No, she did have a gun.
she knew
though.
crazy.
She was nuts.
them white girls be crazy.
She's got a gun and she's like, my mama said I should shoot anyone who comes into the house. Gary, Gary. She starts yelling for this Gary guy. I don't know who this guy is.
I guess it's her stepdad or her brother or something.
He's in the side room. He sidles out and he
And
gets a lamp in the face.
Yeah, he
Gary,
starts screaming at him.
classic
And
white guy name.
Harry Belafonte picks up a lamp and just smokes this kid in the face.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Fitting.
Like,
And then the girl starts firing the gun at him and he kind of escapes. It's a whole comedy of errors.
and now Travolta knows where he is. The chase is on. They're kind of going through this neighborhood, popping into apartment buildings
a
and stuff
deadly
like that.
game of cat and mouse.
Yeah. They get back to Stanley's, though. He takes him back to Stanley's. Now
I
the
knew I
cops-
couldn't trust you. You was just waiting for a chance to leave.
Oh, it's so
just wait.
stupid.
You was waiting.
No shit.
After you just revealed you were going to kill him.
Yeah, you don't think that I would run after you said that you were going to kill me no matter what the outcome is?
Yeah. I thought you was my friend.
He goes, I started feeling sorry for you. I started making excuses for you. That you were poor, that you were ignorant, inarticulate. You smug motherfucker. That's when he binds and gags Thomas.
Yeah. About time.
He gets tied up pretty good in that slum hole they're living in.
Harry, props to Harry Belafonte for just doing this.
I haven't checked how old he was when he fucking made it.
He's not young. He's probably like pushing 70 at least during this.
He's an elder statesman for sure.
Yeah, he died age 96 in 2023.
Far too old.
A little less of his
Yeah.
life, please.
30 years less, I say. That's 3 decades too many.
If he could have died right before he made White Man's Burden, that'd be perfect for his legacy.
In all this excitement, Thad starts suffering some sort of heart attack. Travolta starts giving him like the worst, most limp-wristed
God.
CPR I've ever seen in my life.
If you've taken a CPR or like a first aid course, this scene is sickening to you. He's not putting any pressure into those chest
His
compressions.
elbows are all bent and shit. He's not over the...
He's trying to do it, and Stanley's like, he's fucking dead. What the fuck
Yeah.
are you doing?
And
The
Stanley-
cops are coming. And he's like,
Stanley-
well, how do you do it then, Stanley? He's like, okay, well, here's what you do.
He walks him through it. Stanley has been on the right side of this issue the entire time.
Before, when they brought him by before, he's like, I don't want no part of it. And then Travolta pulled the gun.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, fine, I'll just don't shoot me. Like he
at a certain point, Travolta was even like, I gotta go do this thing with my son's birthday. Can you watch the guy? And he was like, if you leave this guy with me, I'm immediately going right to the cops.
I'm gonna let him go.
Basically, Travolta said to him, like, I'll shoot you too if you go against me on this. And so he's like, okay, you threatened me, so I'll be your little sidekick through some of this misadventure. But like legally, my hands are clean through this thing. Like,
Here's how you do CPR. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of the song "Staying Alive"?
yeah.
Looks at the camera.
I never understood that. Every first aid class I've taken says do it to staying alive, and I'm like, I'm like, this is not a good rhythm to. I don't understand how I'm supposed to be doing this.
You got to do it to the bass
first
drum.
off, it
Boom,
doesn't go.
boom, boom.
I've killed 3 men trying to do CPR.
Dude, you got to stop going up and giving people sleeping people CPR.
Well, this is
Just
the only way you can
trail
learn.
of bodies in Mitch's wake because he has no rhythm.
Let me try the next one. Bring him out. Wheel him over.
You're too white for CPR.
Now that's the white
I have no
man's version.
rhythm.
After this janky CPR, they've resurrected Harry Belafonte, and they need to get him to a hospital because he's still in a bad way. So that's kind of, we're getting into the climax of the movie. Travolta's trying to get this sick, dying man to a hospital.
Climaxing.
He's climaxing.
It's a series of kind of misadventures here because his car breaks down.
This piece of shit just
Yeah.
continually has problems.
There's been some good foreshadowing. This is a piece of shit car, so it makes sense it would break down at a crucial moment.
Yeah. A white lady in a car stops to help, but when she sees the black guy, she speeds off. She's like, I don't want any part of
Yeah,
this.
whatever you're getting into, I don't want to be any
Yeah,
part.
you just shoot this guy or what? I'm out.
Yeah.
This whole scene is so stupid because at this point Travolta's like fully like, I gotta save Harry Belafonte, he's having a heart attack, but the entire time he's got this gun in his hand and he's just waving it around. Like immediately right at the start of the scene I was like, put the gun down.
You don't need to have the
like
gun.
you won't get maybe shot by the police if you just put the gun down.
Okay, Mitch. But the gun
Yeah,
saved
I
his
know,
life.
So he starts shooting.
Guns
at
are
windows.
good.
Yeah, he did.
It's true, actually.
yeah.
The gun gave him CPR.
Guns save lives.
Yeah.
If you paused and zoomed in, you would have saw that he was holding the
Stupid.
pistol in between against his chest when he was giving him CPR. So he starts shooting out all the windows on the street to get the cops to come to him, and it works. And like
That's
he
smart.
can hear this. That's smart, but he can hear the sirens coming for ages, and yeah, he's just like still holding the gun.
Like,
Like,
I don't know what to do. Should I point it at the cops like this or what? I don't
Put
know.
that fucking thing down and put your hands up.
What do I
'cause
do?
You're about to get killed. Idiotic.
A fitting end.
yeah. So the cops kind of see him and they blow Travolta away.
Of course.
I think it's the best thing that could have happened for him. You know, his family thought he was a loser. His kid didn't like him.
He was
His
a
wife.
crumb bum.
staying
I'm glad
with
I
the
don't have
mother-in-law.
to hear his black scent anymore.
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte is happy.
He's a little shooken up by it, but they get him to a hospital. And so then we get a little bit of denouement.
Looked like he was dying. I mean, the cops come. Nobody's fucking helping the guy on the ground who's in medical distress.
And he's so weak. Like,
Typical cops.
He can't even talk.
he
even-
can't make words.
Even in a pro cop fantasy movie like this, the cops are fucking scum. But somehow he fucking survived.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, eventually the ambulances showed up and people that came to help him helped him.
Travolta's dead, though. He gets buried, funeral, and I guess Harry Belafonte feels a little sad about this whole situation. He shows up to Travolta's widow with a little envelope full of money. He's like, I want to give you money, absolve my conscience.
Money for what? He said that I owed him some money. I thought I'd give you some money.
She, once again, is like super dignified, like, well, the money won't bring him back, or how much money is
I could give you some more if you think it would be enough.
Come on.
How much will ever be enough?
Absolve my conscience now.
But yeah, he walks away, and Donnie's there playing with his action figure, and he watches Harry Belafonte walk away, get in his car, and drive away, and he just looks on, and that's the end of the movie.
He has a
Isn't that
sad
deep?
face or a mad face. I can't tell.
He's
It's
not
a
bad
weird
actor.
face.
He's not a good kid actor.
It's very weird. He's very much a cipher in that moment where you're like, what is he projecting onto this? What meaning is he?
He's entirely a cipher throughout mostly that, but throughout the movie, there's not really any characters.
Yeah.
Travolta's kind of characterized.
Yeah, he's trying
Henry
something.
Belafonte, they do a little bit.
I think that movie kind of sucked.
It's
That's
not good.
White Man's Burden.
Yeah, that movie was impossible to find and surprisingly not that impossible to watch.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't that hard to find. The first 15 minutes was on one website, and then the other 15 minutes each were broken into 5 other parts on YouTube.
No, it's super findable with Google, but you do need to put in a bit more work than usual.
It was annoying.
I didn't want to brag to you guys, but I did find a full version, and I watched it in one.
Hang on, the FBI is fucking
And-
banging down our doors.
And that's because I legally purchased it on
From
eBay.
From where? What?
I beat that guy from the lobby video store.
Fucking psycho.
I saw the movie before he did, and I bought it.
The guy who owns every physical copy of this movie.
I've seen YouTube videos of this mental disorder before, where people buy like a bunch of speed VHS tapes and stuff, filled a room with them. But
I've seen somebody with Titanic.
you know, that's a big movie that was very popular.
Lots of copies of that one floating around.
Yeah.
No trouble getting a Titanic
No.
VHS. It
That's
was a
like-
2 VHS set. I had that one.
He has a whole room
That's
decked out with them.
A treatable mental illness, but the white man's burden mental illness is that's chronic.
That's for life.
Fatal.
Well, we really went through it today, didn't we? We did
Solved
it.
racism.
We solved racism.
We were in the thick of it.
I think we're brave.
Obviously, we can't call ourselves heroes, but if any of our listeners would like to tweet out that we're heroes, I think that would be much appreciated.
We wouldn't hold it against you.
Yeah, pretty appropriate
We're-
given the circumstances.
As always, we're continuing to do things that nobody else, that all the other pussies are too afraid to do. What did everybody think about these 2 movies? I hope we all learned something. I hope this was an informative session. I guess let's start with Luke today.
Well, I learned not to throw out glasses after people I don't like use them. I won't promise that I'm going to take that lesson forward, but I will try.
Do it for a week.
Depends on the person.
Yeah, a week is generous. We'll see. As for these movies, gotta say, I don't care for both of them, but I did learn a lot. I did grow a lot.
Which one are you recommending to our listeners? Which one wins?
I have to say that Green Book being a Best Picture winner makes it definitely fall into the high category, and White Man's Burden being a completely unknown, swept under the rug picture makes it definitely a low. I think they're both about the same tier, and they have about the same amount of depth. But Green Book is a much more enjoyable picture because it has better performances in the leads. It's close, but Green Book is my winner for this week, and I am just humbled and grateful for the opportunity to learn and listen and understand.
I'm glad we all got something from this.
All right, so Luke's going for Green Book. Mitchell, what do you think about these? Which one are you going for?
Overall, I would probably have to give it to Green Book too. Both these movies are inoffensive to me. They're both, it's like baby steps movies. Like, I almost wish that White Man's Burden was more misguided and more like tried to go balls to the wall with some kind of racial message, and it would have just been more cringy and laughable. But there was an element of that to White Man's Burden. I don't know. It was just sort of a middle of the road thriller at the end of the day. And Green Book, maybe it didn't deserve a Best Picture nomination or win, but it was. I kind of enjoyed it.
Okay, some
felt
real
like
lukewarm Green Book.
I learned a
votes.
lot. Learned a lot about myself. Learned a lot about the world.
Okay, 2 Green Books. I'm gonna fly in the face of convention here. I'm going White Man's Burden.
Nice.
Green Book it works when it's a buddy comedy. It doesn't work for me once they kind of start getting to more of the heartfelt stuff. But the acting is strong enough to make it overall pretty enjoyable. It runs long, but you've seen this movie before. You've never really seen anything quite like White Man's Burden. It was like kind of like a real thing, and it's not even good. It's like It's pretty mediocre. It isn't much of a thriller, but it is an hour and a half, and it's a real kind of gotta see it to
Were you
believe
thrilled?
it for me. Minorly, very, very minorly titillated.
You remember
Tickled,
when, like,
maybe?
Tickled a
Harry
little bit.
Belafonte was
Not
lying
once
there
did my
on the
pulse
ground.
pound.
Could have used another good look at Harry Belafonte's wife.
I mean, Green Book's a better movie, but check out White Man's Burden because it's kind of fucking bizarre and weird.
Or don't.
No, you have to do it. That just made my top 10 my top 10 sight and sound
Yeah.
list. I think we did it,
Like
gang.
we are.
We cracked the code and solved racism. We're all heroes. I don't know about you. My back's pretty sore from all the patting I've been giving it.
Well, I hope you have your binoculars handy because next week we're going to be peering out of our rear windows at our neighbors and watching them doing all kinds of nasty things. When we watch Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window and compare it with a remake, I guess, somewhat of a remake, Disturbia, Shia LaBeouf vehicle. Featuring...
Everyone's favorite, Shia LaBeouf.
Join us next time when we compare Hitchcock against Disturbia.
Okay. Well, until next time, this has been High and Low. Please rate, review, share, subscribe, all that good stuff to any low lives you might know. And until next time, I'm Vonn.
I'm Mitchell.
I'm Luke.
Smell you later.
Peace.
Good God.